Oh man, I'm like on Twitter right now just to like tweet about the stream or whatever, and there's just a video of like a deep fake, if you guys are familiar with deep fakes, where they put people's faces on other people's faces and it looks really real, and they're putting what the fuck, Jim Carrey's face on some female celebrity being interviewed, and it looks scarily real and strange. It's pretty funny. Yeah, deep fakes are taking over. Let me just throw this into the Discord, the Jizcord. Okay, so let me close out of Discord real quick. Hey, Lils. Oh my gosh, with the 20 bones. Says thank you for streaming. Absolutely. Thank you, Lils. That's a huge donation right out the gate. That's very kind of you. It's good to see you again. It's good to see everybody again. Sorry I've been kind of away from streaming. Hope I've been keeping you somewhat satisfied with the videos this week. I think we might be getting a little bit away from paranormal stories, because they haven't done all that well on the channel recently, and they're kind of hard to come by too, at least decent ones. Whereas there seems to be a lot more interest in the stalker stuff and the typical true scary stories, as they would be sort of defined. So maybe rather than doing, every 4 videos doing a ghosts stories or paranormal stories, we might do those every 2 weeks or something like that rather. Electric Heart with the $5 says, "Fook me life, fook me wife," and dabs. 'Tis true. 'Tis true. It's the old saying across the pond. Fook me life, fook me wife. And then you dab on them. Dab directly. Alexa says true scary stories are the best. Yeah. Seems people, based on the number of people who click on the videos, it definitely tends to seem that way. I've always been a big fan of the paranormal. In fact, and this might be a topic of conversation you guys are more than welcome to ask as many questions as possible about, because it's going to sound pretty far-fetched what I'm about to say, but I had received a follow from an interesting account from an individual who says that when he was younger and more susceptible to certain susceptibilities, was through training at the CIA able to be part of a teleportation / time travel / sort of astral projection / remote viewing experiments within the government. And I just got off a lengthy Anthony Esposito with the 20 says, "Damn, I really want to be here for this, but I have to go do adult things." That's okay, Anthony. It's good to see you again. Whatever those adult things are, I hope they get done very adultly. And I hope you can make it back for another one. Thank you so much. This is very kind of you. But yeah, no, you're more than welcome to call BS on this one, because this is some very, very strange it's a very strange conversation to have with people, with an individual, where there's no indication in the person's psychological presentations that would appear to be fake or lying or inconsistent, at least in the conversational sense. Now, as far as what they said specifically to predictions for what might occur in the future, specifically they said to definitely invest in Bitcoin, as that will definitely be the sort of decentralized banking process of the coming near future, starting to grow in exponential numbers every year. So you could really multiply your investments there, I guess. I don't know. Kind of a weird one. But also, these were... And once again, I like to keep an open mind when it comes to things, but, they were doing some presidential predictions here because that individual feels, along with... Because one of his stories and things that he did whenever he did sort of experimental teleportations to Mars and also time traveling, I think primarily backwards in time, what was these things were done in conjunction with a young 19-year-old Barack Obama. Right, yeah, definitely, a lot of questions raised there, who I guess worked in the CIA and was previously known as Barry Soetoro. And and then another guy named Andrew Basiago or something of that nature. So a lot of strange stuff to sort of information to sort of compartmentalize and categorize in my head. Because I had actually heard some of the stories from Andrew Basiago in the past, and a lot of these stories actually sounded very similar to his, as far as like teleportation, time traveling, and the concept of wanting to be president, because this individual wants to be president, and also discussing these memories as borderline repressed, and then being able to pull these memories out at later unrepression. I'm not really sure how repressed memories necessarily work per se, but it was interesting to say the least, because this sort of technology was given to the U.S. government and certain individuals through the direct interaction with extraterrestrials and that sort of thing. I'm just as confused as you are. It is interesting, the people that you meet on the internet, but I've always been one to sort of be of pretty open mind, because I, hypothetically imagine, you were back in the early, I don't know, when was the telephone invented? Early 18th century or something of that nature, where you existed and somebody told you like, hey, soon I'll be able to talk to you, not through Telegram, but you'll be able to hear my voice through a little bit of put it right up to your ear, or you'll be able to see me, and all these sort of like phenomenon things that latent skeleton, what happens at the end of the timer, you'll find out. Things are going to get a little explosive. 1834 was the... Oh, Jen doesn't know. No, okay. I was going to be like, thanks. But you think about those phenomena that would blow people's mind as like borderline witchcraft. Not to say everyone thought everything was witchcraft back in the day, but you get the drift, where it's just kind of like, you're kidding me, Yeah, exactly. Where's the flying cars? But it's stuff like that I'm like, Yeah, Jamie Porn. That's a good one. I think they had that back then. But yeah, all this like wild stuff that we don't really know. Like, I mean, if you can dream it in your own little reality, I kind of feel as if though it might actually exist at some point in the future. You know what I mean? Like, even something as crazy as like 3D printing or virtual reality or video games. Like, Lils with another 20 bonos, his pizza money. Well, Jesus, you are covering me with that hot cheese right now. Thank you, Lils. Chrisia wants pizza money too. I'm gonna just buy pizza for the class. Oh, that would be so much fun if everybody came to. I mean, I don't know how it would ever happen, but if I had like a meetup or something, that would be pretty sweet to all of us to get together and just get a bunch of pizza and chill out. I don't really know what that would involve or if it would be super awkward or not, but that would be pretty cool. But yeah, so here's a lineup for the next couple presidents that I was given. We got, Trump in 2020, then Michael McIntosh in 2024. I hope you guys are writing these down. Potentially him again in 2028. I'm not sure if that was right or not, but in 2032 is the granddaughter of MLK. I'm not exactly sure what her name is, if it's Yolanda May King or something like that. But, so, just throwing them out there. And then we have, what do we got? 2036, Andrew Basaglia, so his co-captain in Mars. And then 2040, this one actually didn't make any sense to me because he said Arnold Schwarzenegger, which, unless we have some laws changed, I think you have to be a native-born citizen to be president, so Arnold wouldn't really make much sense to me. But anyways, 2044 is Ann Coulter. 2048, this one got me excited. We got Alex Jones will be president in 2048. So we've got quite the timeline coming here, guys, that I think all of us should be pretty stoked about. Yeah, yee. Kanye. Whoever says Kanye. Dude, Yeezy might be in the 2050s. We still don't know. There's still time for him and the old lady to develop their political prowess. Kelly Sharkey with the 2 says, you're awesome. My absolute favorite channel. Thank you, Kelly, for the 2. Thank you. Guys, it does make me feel really good when you guys say I'm your favorite channel, because I'm just like, I don't know, my mind is blown when I hear that. Welcome. You are here for the spooks, the startles, the screams, and the scares. Wouldn't Arnold be dead by then? What is he now? 60? 60 something? And he'd be in the 2030s, so like it'd be 10 years from now, so he'd be in his 70s, so it'd be kind of like however old Trump and Bernie is, Bernie Sanders and Trump. They're pretty old, so, and they're still kicking. Who knows, man? Black Wolf 8999 with the 5 says, thanks for being amazing and have amazing content. You are welcome. You are welcome. Spoop Poppy. Electra Heart with the 5 says, I've been called a horrible person. Dab, sadly. Dude, don't even fret. We've all been called terrible things. But you just gotta take all those negative comments and just shove them right back up their butt. Am I right, guys? Lils with another 20. Holy cow. Says, you are my favorite channel. Only one I donate to also. Well, thank you, Lils. That makes me feel good too, because that's, yeah, oof. Lils is making it rain on me right now. Well, Lils, thank you so much. Yeah, Oh, Arnold is 72 currently. He would be in his 80s. Hey, yeah. Never too late to be in a wheelchair and be president. Am I right, guys? What about Meteor 2020? Oh, yeah. You can't discount Meteor. There's still a chance. But yeah, to be the only channel that people donate to feels pretty good, because I feel like that's, something to bring to the table that I don't really think about too often, just the value that I give people, because obviously it's subjective to the observer, and I appreciate that I can be that beauty to you guys. Stallone is like 72 and ripped, so yeah, honestly, whoever says they're too old to start working out is full of absolute dookie dong, because if Sylvester Stallone at 72 can get it done, I'm sure you right now could pull together something and make it happen with the infinite knowledge that is the internet and a gym on every corner. I'm not saying, I know people have different circumstances, but come on, you got to get ready for Rambo 6, baby. He needs some competition. Lord Girahim 2. I got no money, but I love you, my favorite channel. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Your money will be wasted on buying new clothes. Yeah, clothes is something I don't really think about too often, but I feel really good when I have them. When I finally actually Rambo for president. Hell yeah. I love that meme from Rambo 4 where it's like the picture of the movie poster, but the movie title just says like the entire third act is just him blowing people to pieces on a 50 cal, which is quite literally the entire third act, and it's amazing. It's just as good as it sounds if you haven't seen Rambo 4. But yeah, there's another Rambo coming out. I think it's called like Rambo Final Blood. I'm not really sure. Sam Jarvis says, thanks so much for being consistent with uploads. I recently found your channel and I've been watching them nonstop. It's evident how much you work into your videos. Thank you. You're welcome. Absolutely. I try to bring the heat. Do I have Let's Read merch? I do. If you go down into the description, it's shop.spreadshirt.com/Let's Read. And so it's part of Spreadshirt, which makes it easy for me because I just kind of post some some designs on there that a lot of you guys have designed for me, which has been fantastic. Gothic Rose with the 2 says, missed you, Joel. Hello, Buttersock Colt. Hello, Gothic. Robin says, Last Blood. Hell yeah, dude. That's going to be sick. I actually cannot wait for that. Sometimes you just need some hardcore carnage. And Gothic, thank you for being an awesome mod, posting the Spreadshirt link there. Guys, go check out Gothic if you haven't before. Gothic Rose bringing a lot of amazing talent to the horror narration community. Jensen was going to get a Buttersock shirt and cut it into a workout t-shirt. You should. I would throw that up on the Instagram instantaneously. Akasha Vex says, I love your channel, can't sleep without listening to you. That to me is so cool, because I use a lot of different people to fall asleep to sometimes, so that's honestly invaluable. Oh yeah, 3, 2, 1, read time. Alright. Let's transition out of... I want to thank College Music for their free music, copyright-free playlist. We're going to transition over to our good friend Iron Cthulhu Apocalypse, the amazingly prolific dark ambient musical artist. Pumping out all sorts of jams almost every couple of days, to be honest. Usually long ones, sometimes in the 8-hour category, in case you really, really want to get into it. Paige Garner, do you fall asleep to your own voice? You know, I've only ever listened to one of my videos like independently, just to be like, let's see what all the hubbub is about Let's Read here. And yeah, it kind of scared me a little bit, so I was like, I don't want to listen to this. This is scary. What the hell? Music changes to K-pop. Yeah, that'd be good. Una hashi hash, hushi hashi hash, hushi. Sorry, I don't know what K-pop sounds like, but that's my best guess based on the algorithms I've seen. Ah, Sean, your grandma at 83 with cancer goes to the gym every morning. Yeah, that's dedication right there, and inspiration for everybody as well, because every day is a grind. All right, so thank you guys and welcome again as we finally get into reading some stories here. This, if you would like, these are going to be subscriber stories. And noni? Basically, if you go to reddit.com/r/let's read official, you can submit your story and actually most likely hear it on the channel at some point. You know, it's sometimes kind of luck, you know, depending on, you can kind of time it up whenever you know I'm going to be looking at new stories and that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely shoot yours over for show. Make sure your grammar is beautiful and you can label it as a true scary or paranormal. Put a cool title on there. All the works. And you can cross-post stuff that you know, maybe you put it there, but you can also post it to Let's Not Meet and get some Reddit karma if you're into the internet points. Jamie with the 20 bones says, love, scotch, beers, tacos, pizza. Hell yeah. Those are the greatest things in the world right there. Oh yeah, who's the official oops counter tonight? We need someone on top of it. Spartan's been AFK. Where's he at? So this first story is actually about Halloween, which we are getting there, guys. Can you believe it is very close to only about 2 months away, a little over 2 months till the official Halloween season, which I don't mind, but it's also kind of strange because sometimes it can be like warm all the way till like close to end of October, and it's been kind of chilly here, at least where I am on the East Coast. So I don't know if you guys are starting to feel like fall starting to kick in, but yeah, I'm not quite ready for the chills. I like the spooky, just not the cold. I'm sure some of you guys have gone back to work, or gone back to not only work, but probably school as well. I'm curious how everybody's doing. All right, story 1. It is Halloween night, 1981. It's Halloween night, 1981. In a third-floor duplex apartment at 207 West 22nd Street, New York City, an impromptu photography shoot is taking place. 39-year-old photographer... Oops. Mistake 1. 39-year-old photographer Ronald Sisman is shooting pictures of his 19-year-old student girlfriend, Elizabeth Platzman. He runs 2 successful businesses out of his Chelsea apartment. She is an art student at a prestigious college in Northampton, Massachusetts. The couple were sharing a bottle of wine, enjoying each other's company, when they suddenly hear a knock at their door. They're not expecting company, nor do they want any, so it's not until the knocking becomes an intense banging that Ronald decides to see who the caller is. When he opens the door, a group of unknown individuals force their way inside the apartment wearing cheap plastic Halloween masks. The group begins to horribly bludgeon Sisman and Platzman, forcing one to watch as the other is beaten and kicked mercilessly. They follow by interrogating them as they ransack the apartment. This is actually a Halloween special that kind of a surprise, but I will be doing a collaboration with kind of like Corpse Husband did last Halloween with, you guys might be familiar with Graveyard Girl or Bunny in some of her videos. You can look her up on YouTube. She's got quite the following. But yeah, basically, I'll be reading this story in the background as she does a sort of relative, sort of artsy approach. It's still kind of up in the air exactly what will occur, but her collaboration with Corpse was really cool last year, and I saw that she followed me, so I reached out for a collab, and making it happen, baby. Let's go. Leroy Jenkins. They follow by interrogating them as they ransack the apartment, relentlessly searching for something. Then, when the group is finished, they remove all identification from the couple before shooting both Sisman and Platzman in the back of the head, execution style. The group then departed the murder scene as quickly as they had arrived. A detective later said that Platzman was planning a trip to visit her parents that weekend, but had never arrived. Regardless, he emphasized that she was an innocent girl who had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. At first, the NYPD believed that the crimes were revenge for several unpaid drug debts. After all, Ronald Sisman was long rumored to be involved in the drug trade, having a penchant for cocaine and marijuana. In May of 1980, Sisman was accused of Melanie Haller, an actress of... Wait, what? Sorry, confused here with the... Cheyenne Dory Bob, welcome back with the 2 says, I live in Las Vegas, so yes, please bring me winter. You want winter, yeah. Yeah, winter's okay. It's just, like you said, everybody who doesn't get it wants a little bit of it. I want to find the place that has the perfect amount of winter. Do I own guns? I do. Like every good American should. Am I right, guys? But yeah, winter is just something, especially around here, when when it lingers for about 6 months, you're just like, dude, I am so over this shit, man. I'm so over the cold. I want to walk outside and not feel like I'm dying. Yada yada. All right, so in May of let's read this real quick. Swamp Dweller, let's read live. My pants are now a waterfall. From Piss. From PP. Zachary Ramo with the 2 says, what's your favorite story you read before? Man, that's a toughie. You know, I always go back to the one about the Russian uncle who missed his train, had to stay in sort of a bit of a hostile situation with an old woman, and then when he couldn't escape from his room in the middle of the night to go use the bathroom, he started to go out through the window, or he was trying to hide under the bed when he heard the door jiggle or something like that, and then hid the body, or went to hide under the bed, found a body, took that body, put it on the bed, and then just decided to go out the window, and then watched out the window as someone came in and started taking like a knife to the body that was already on the bed, and then he fell like 2 stories and just took off running. So yeah, you'd rather be cold than sweaty. You know, that's a kind of a good point, because yeah, with cold you can bundle up, but at least with sweaty, depending on how hot it is, you can just go outside from time to time. Of course, depending on where you're from, the bugs don't always pass away. Alright, Sisman was accused by Melanie Haller, an actress. Okay. In May of 1980, Sisman was accused by Melanie Haller, an actress, of attempting to force her to take drugs during a photo shoot. He'd apparently been making advances on her, offering her cocaine, and then becoming belligerent when she refused. But the charges against Mr. Sisman were soon dropped when Miss Haller refused to cooperate with investigators. Somehow, Sisman was well connected enough to be able to successfully intimidate the budding young actress. It was possible that Sisman had owned a considerable amount of money to local... Sorry. Zachary Ramo with the 2 says, want to read it to us? Yeah, if you can find it. I honestly don't... I haven't been able to find that story. I think it exists on Let's Not Meet somewhere deep in the recesses there. But... Texans can't do the cold, huh? Yeah. I know some Texans who get chilly when it gets below 90. Anything above that's just room temperature to them. But the charges against Mr. Sisman were soon dropped when Miss Haller refused to cooperate with investigators. Somehow, Sisman was well connected enough to be able to successfully intimidate the budding young actress. It was possible that Sisman had owed a considerable amount of money to local drug dealers, and they had grown sick and tired of being given the runaround by the photographer. It was not out of the question that they had simply paid the man a visit, taken everything of value as payment, and then ended his life to send a message to other debtors. However, investigators were baffled when a prison informant on Rikers Island, sorry. Hey, a full-grown pizza from Colin Miller. Welcome, Colin. Let's get some hooting and hollering for Colin in the chat there. Thank you. Thank you for becoming a member. However, investigators were baffled when Shit. Also, I have a collaboration on Swamp Dweller's channel that I just recently did. Swampy. Oh, Swampy boy. Did you like release that yet or what? If he's still here. I don't know if he's still here. Oh, Colin, you're studying for the NCLEX. Listening to me takes all my anxiety away. That's awesome, dude. Congratulations on passing nursing school and taking your NCLEX. That's, believe me, I know the pain. It took me till my 3rd attempt to finally pass it, and I feel like they just let me through because they felt bad or something. They're like, all right, this guy's giving us way too much money. We got to just let him go. You're heading to California. Oh, nice. Gothic. There it is. Yeah, Gothic. Rose had linked the collaboration with Swamp Dweller there in the chat. So if you guys get bored after the stream or, whenever you want to check it out, that is right there for you. Thank you, Gothic, for that. And thank you, Swamp Dweller, for letting me partake. How do I pick the stories I want to read? Well... I have a friend of mine who asked permission on our paranormal and our Let's Not Meet, but here on our subreddit of Let's Read Official, r/Let's Read Official, it's sort of just like whatever's directly in my front of my eyeballs, whichever ones are kind of starting to trend on the subreddit that I can get to conveniently, but I will, and then I'll mark them as read with the flare, so I make sure I don't read them again. Though I'm not always perfect with that. And then I can go back and pick other ones as well. Alrighty, however, investigators are baffled. Rikers Island, yeah. Is it Rikers? Yeah. However, investigators were baffled. Oh, wait. Sorry. I have to wait. My roommate's taking a shower, and the water pipes run through my wall, and the microphone that I'm recording into, not the one that you're hearing right now, picks up everything. So I will just chit-chat with you guys for a little bit till he's done with that. Cake Man, you're going through hard times. This video helped you get away from... Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, I hope I can help you guys break away from the struggles of reality at times. Hey, Kashi, what's up? You love the collab with Mr. Creeps. Oh yeah, I did. I was enjoying the fact that I got to do a creepypasta again. That was a lot of fun. Uncle Joe. Was I Uncle Joe in that? Or did I just play... Was I a character, Uncle Joe? I don't remember. I thought I was like the assistant... the assistant captain in the submarine or something like that. Gucci Ganja Goon with the 7 Canadian says, your voice gives me the chilly willies. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, who needs... If you need to get out of the heat, just come listen to Let's Read to get them chilly willies. Thank you. Thank you, Gucci. Gucci gang. You're craving a pickle so bad your mouth is watering. Dude, honestly, sometimes you get a craving for a pickle. I put a lot of pickles in my omelets. I dice them up. They certainly add the perfect amount of acidity. Jamie loves pickles. She's all about that pickle beer, pickle liquor. The mermaid story. I was the mermaid in it. GGDP, you going into work here tonight? I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you can hang out with us for a bit. Witch and Famous says your son says my voice sounds creepy. Good. That's exactly what I'm going for. Yeah, the perfect amount of creepy and comforting. Just like... Who else had it? What Hannibal Lecter? Would he be in that category? What strain am I smoking? I ain't about that strain, man. I ain't about that strain life. Honestly, I'm not about that strain life mainly because it's just like my brain is already like... I think too much. He thinks too much. So... It's just, I find that it's more beneficial for me to, I find that it's more beneficial for me to be sober of mind and just allow my natural crazy to flow freely rather than requiring any use of, influences, so to speak. Have I seen the Avengers? I've been asked that a lot lately. Yeah, water strain. The moist strain. Sticky, icky water. Actually, it's not sticky at all. It's actually quite clean. He think. He pink. He master bink. Okay. However... Investigators were baffled when a prison informant on Rikers Island told them of how one of his fellow inmates had somehow predicted the crime weeks before it actually happened. That inmate turned out to be none other than the notorious Son of Sam killer, David Berkowitz. In August of 1977, Berkowitz was taken into custody by New York City police homicide detectives in front of his Yonkers apartment building, and he was subsequently indicted for 8 shooting incidents. He instantly confessed to all of them, and initially claimed to have been simply obeying the orders of a demon manifested in the form of a dog named Harvey, which belonged to his neighbor Sam. Despite his fantastically outlandish... Despite his fantastically outlandish explanation, Berkowitz was found mentally competent to stand trial. He pleaded guilty to 7 second-degree murders and was quickly incarcerated in state prison. He subsequently admitted that the dog and devil story was in fact a hoax, and sorry, guys. I don't know what happens, but sometimes like the words just get stuck in my nose, clog my nose, and don't want to come out. He subsequently admitted that the dog and devil story was in fact a hoax, and that he had been part of a wider satanic conspiracy. In the course of further police investigations, Berkowitz was also implicated in many unsolved arsons in the city. There's always been speculation that Berkowitz was involved with a satanic cult and did not commit all of the Son of Sam murders on his own. According to the prison informant, Berkowitz had told him that his cult was planning to enter a residence near Greenwich Village on Halloween. They would perform a ritual murder by ceremonially torturing the couple before shooting them in the head, then ransacking the place to remove incriminating evidence. When questioned about this, Berkowitz claimed that Ronald Sisman had been hired by the cult to film one of the murders they committed. However, not all of the details were passed on to Sisman. Once the murders were on film, Sisman began to act skittish. It was believed that he possessed a master copy of the snuff footage and was planning to hand it over to the authorities to avoid some drug charges. Berkowitz began to claim that he had joined the cult in the spring of 1975. By 1993, Berkowitz made these claims known when he announced to the press that he had killed only 3 of the Son of Sam victims: Donna Loria, Alexander Assau, and Valentina Shuriani. In his revised versions of the events, Berkowitz was insistent that other shooters were involved and that he fired the gun only in the first and 6th attacks. He said that he and several other cult members were involved in every incident by planning the events, providing early surveillance of the victims, and acting as lookouts and drivers at the crime scenes. Berkowitz stated that he could not divulge the names of most of his accomplices without putting his family's safety directly at risk. Among Berkowitz's alleged unnamed associates was a female cult leader whom he claimed fired the gun at 2 of the victims whom survived. He claimed the alleged accomplice with Joel is the author. Joel is not the author, my friend. I would never have time to write all these stories. That would be actually insane. He claimed alleged accomplice was okay. He claimed the alleged accomplice was unfamiliar with the powerful recoil of a .44 Bulldog and had managed to miss, fatally wounding their potential victim. Berkowitz declared that at least 5 cult members were at the scene of the another shooting, but the actual shooter was a prominent cult associate who had been brought in from outside New York with an unspecified motive, a cult member whom he identified only by his nickname, Manson II. Decades after his arrest, the name Son of Sam remains widely recognized as that of a notorious serial killer. Many manifestations in popular culture have helped perpetuate this notoriety, while Berkowitz himself continues to express remorse on Christian websites. But the murders of Ronald Sisman and Elizabeth Platzman remain unsolved even to this day. It is entirely possible that Berkowitz's much refuted claims of being a member of a large murderous satanic cult could indeed be true. After all, how is it possible that David Berkowitz knew so much about the details of the murder from inside his state prison cell? If he has been a user or a purveyor of illicit drugs, it is possible he could have heard something coming down the prison grapevine. But Berkowitz was not a user, nor was he particularly socially adept, so it is highly unlikely that he would have advanced. Oopsies, sorry. Lils, oh my god, with another 20 bonos, says, "'Cause I love your stream and rantings." Well, thank you, Lils. Thank you. I'm glad. I thank you. Yeah, nice. I'm glad. I sometimes wonder if my rantings get a little bit much at times, and Thank you for the positive reinforcement to continue ranting until my lungs run dry. Or I suppose lungs are supposed to be dry. I don't really know. But thank you again. But Berkowitz was not a user, nor was he particularly socially adept, so it is highly unlikely that he would have advanced up the prison hierarchy. So it is highly unlikely that he would have advanced up the prison hierarchy to be rubbing shoulders with violent drug dealers. However, Berkowitz was just the kind of personality who would be of service to a satanic murderous cult, dim-witted, quiet, and obedient, the kind of isolated loner that could be trusted not to talk to anyone, who could drift through crowds unnoticed, until it came the time to strike. Sweet. We're at 17? Alright. Everybody likes you when you're 17. Do you guys know that song? Everybody likes you when you're 17. Yeah, let's see. Hopefully this isn't too loud and doesn't blow. You guys remember this song? This is like just, I always feel like this just like epitomized the like sort of European model culture. That's my, if I ever was a model, that would be my model song. My model walking down the aisle or whatever. The red carpet. I don't know what the models do, but they walking and they got some good ass music to listen to. Black Wolf 8999 with the 4 says, I gotta go, but I love you and love listening. Well, thank you, Black Wolf. Thanks for being here. Yeah, you remember that song? That was amazing. I think people can still model when they're 31, you know? There's still time. Strike a pose. Everyone strike a pose with me. All right. Now, so that was one that I was doing for a collab. Now we're going to be getting into stories that are specifically for this video that comes out tomorrow. My strut song. Stritty strut strut. Alright, so this one's called The Homeless Man in the Grocery Store Bathroom. He actually gave me change that I dropped. This happened back when I was still in high school, so I was about 16. My friends at the time, let's call them Jack and Dan, and I would often skip the last class or two in favor of hanging out at one of their places. My parents were more uptight about playing hooky, or cruising around in the old-school muscle car that Jack had fixed up with his dad. One day we swung by a grocery store that had a place in back that made pretty good Chinese food, and that sounded like it would hit the spot right now. We parked, browsed the aisles a little, and picked up some sodas as our orders were being prepared. The three of us paid, and on the way out, I told them I had to take a leak, giving my bags to Jack to look after. The bathrooms were usually at least fair on the cleanliness scale, but I guess that day someone was asleep at the wheel, and no one had bothered to notify the staff of the mess inside. I was, and still am, somewhat shy while peeing, so I like to use stalls when able. The handicapped stall's toilet was filled to the brim with murky brown water and toilet paper, more wet paper clinging to the almost every surface. More wet paper clinging to almost every surface within 2 feet of the toilet. Yeah, no. The stall next to it was worse. Someone had been finger painting in there, so to speak. Seriously, who does this? No pun intended. Oh, whoops. Josh Mitchell with the 2 says, I am A broke RN BC college. But I love your videos. Well, thank you, Josh, for your sacrifice to the Buttersock cult. Sorry, I never normally say that, but that was very, just came to mind. But thank you, Josh. I wish you the best of luck in BC College and getting through school. It seems like, yeah, we got some nurses in here, which is awesome. Capitan Holland with the 5. Thank you, Capitan. Mr. Holland. Oh, you know what makes me really sad is Tom Holland and the fact that he will not be Spider-Man anymore. Because it's not that I didn't enjoy Tobey Maguire, but there was just something about this new Spider-Man that just felt very endearing, and I was kind of like excited to see how him and Mary Jane and the whole gang sort of progressed in their, I don't know, just their development and that kind of thing as characters, as you know, connections to one another. And I really enjoyed just the sort of really well-written comedic nature of the recent Spider-Man. So to see that Sony and Marvel could not come to a deal is pretty frustrating, because I really like Tom Holland in that character. I thought he did a fantastic job. He'll be Spider-Man still. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Group Chat Wrestling says he'll be the Spider-Man as well, but you're saying that most likely it will be owned by Sony? He just will not be in the MCU. He's still Spider-Man, though. Well, that's pretty baller. I think that's good. Do you think, I wonder if they'll still hire on the same writer, or if those people specifically work for Disney and Marvel and that kind of gang? I'm not sure, because I really, really liked the fun atmosphere that's the newer Spider-Mans had, because, I don't know, they were just they were amazing. Hey, Alex B, see you later. Because whoever, I didn't get to see Venom, but it didn't look that great, and I heard it wasn't that great, which really sucks, because Tom Hardy was, I think he's an amazing actor, Tom Hardy is, and to not be able to get the most out of him in a really, really emotionally free character of Venom is relatively disappointing, but maybe, you never know. Oh, yeah. Michael's saying that time travel will be disclosed in 2028. Well, I guess we got almost 10 years now to party it up, because we can just go backwards in time and mistake all our wrongs. Just kidding. Everybody be good. You, Scoot Games, you personally liked Venom? Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. I figured sometimes you kind of hear some reviews and you kind of write things off, and I need to give Venom a shot, because I definitely like, you said Venom should have been rated R. Yeah, definitely should have had more of a darker tone to it. Do I have an Instagram account you can follow? I do. It's also linked in the description below. It's at letsread.official, all one character, I suppose. Who, wait, somebody uploaded a sponsor video where he shows himself, unless it's another horror narrator. Well, yeah, it's definitely not me. Yeah, no. The stall next to it was worse. Someone had been finger painting in there, so to speak. The final stall I checked, the one closest to the door, had urine all over the seat and some on the floor, as well as some brown smudges and damp toilet paper on the seat. But I figured I didn't have to touch any of that. I just used some clean paper to lift the seat, wiped my hands thoroughly, and then did my business before flushing and leaving the seat up, not wanting to give anyone that might come in the idea that I had left the seat down and peed all over it. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. Enter the homeless man. He had long, dark, matted hair and a matching beard. His face was almost completely hidden. He wore the typical hobo garb, dirt-covered coat, slightly torn jeans, worn sneakers that might have been white at some point, and frayed, fingerless gloves. I gave him a small smile and polite nod as he shuffled past, giving me no more than a quick glance. He was washing my... Oops, not he, I. The year 3000 is where things really get... What happens in the year 3000? Now that's something I should have asked about. I was washing my hands by the time he reached the stall. He had seen me come out of... Wait, what? Oh, I see. I was washing my hands by the time he reached the stall he had seen me come out of. I heard him huff and grumble a little before he backed out of the stall and growled, "Nice," at me. I tensed and looked over to him. He was nodding in a thanks-a-lot kind of way, gesturing into the stall as his eyes glared at me between his thick, coarse beard and his bushy eyebrows, being the extremely awkward and non-confrontation. Being the extremely awkward and non-confrontational teen that I was, all I could muster was a somewhat spastic, "That wasn't me." Totally convincing. "This wasn't you?" he rumbled, his voice suggesting he was somewhere between confused and furious as he pointed at the soiled toilet. I shook my head, staring wide-eyed at him before quickly rinsing my hands and stepping over to the paper towels. I could see him out of the corner of my eye, still looking at either me or the stall and grumbling under his breath. I was almost done drying my hands when I heard him stomping up behind me. I whipped around and saw him reaching out with his left hand. I initially thought he was reaching to grab some paper towels, but his hand clapped down on my shoulder, his right hand swinging up until his fist was pressing painfully into my chest. He had one of those foldable knives with the serrated edge hovering just above my neck. "You!" he spat through his teeth, his face red with anger. "You think you can just creep me like..." Shit, sorry. Okay, I gotta muster up my best crazy homeless man voice. Cheyenne Dory Bob with the 5 says, "Venom would have been a lot better if it was rated R, not PG-13. It was still good in my opinion." Yeah, I don't know why they... There's a lot of good R-rated movies. Or superhero movies. I loved... why am I spacing on it? Deadpool, obviously. Deadpool's amazing. Love the humor. Love the artistic expression of blood. Michael McIntosh says, "No more sickness, wars, or death in the year 3000. Well, that's good. And it's good to know that we've got plenty of time. No, sorry, whoever said Meteor 2020, because looks like we got another 1,000 years to go before any big meteors. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, in the year 3000, we'll be living with the rescued aliens from the Area 51 raid. Yeah, we have to... Is that going to happen? Is the raid going to happen here? Blade 2, yeah, Blade 2 should be... Well, Blade 2 did come out, technically, along with Blade Trinity. But yeah, the Blade reboot should be sick. Corey reviews, he didn't find Deadpool very funny. Ah, man, I thought it was awesome. But that's okay. I respect thine opinion. Yeah, Wolverine was good, too. I thought, I was like, wow, you can do a serious... superhero movie with violence, but it doesn't feel as if though it's forced upon you. It just feels realistic. You love The Watchmen. I love The Watchmen. I really did, as sort of a cinematic experience. But there's something about it. It almost feels too real to me. And there's also something really strange about the way that I just feel like they just go out and as superheroes, and they just... Every bad guy they come across, they just compound fracture their arm and neck for no reason. I mean, granted, I guess most of the people that they had killed with their combat was most likely trying to kill them, and it makes sense. But I don't know. There was something that made me feel mildly sick about that, because it was at least Batman was attempting to be killed, but he had a sort of sense of constraint about him. But I loved Rorschach, and I loved Miss Dr. Manhattan. And there was a period of time where I had wished that I named my YouTube channel Dr. Manhattan, after him. That'd be funny if someone dressed up as Dr. Manhattan for Halloween and just walked around naked, covered in blue. You little heathen, he spat through his teeth, his face red with anger. You think you can just treat me like this because I live in my car? Just because I'm dirty, huh? He roared, getting louder with each sentence. Honestly, I think I would have peed myself back then had I not just taken care of that. All I could do was stare at him with the classic deer-in-the-headlights look, standing on my tiptoes and trying to press my back into the tile wall behind me to avoid contact with his knife. I wanted to explain that the seat was already dirty when I came in, and that I wouldn't want to clean up some inconsiderate person's mess either. Again, words escaped me, and all that came out was me squeaking, Please don't hurt me. I started to blubber, unable to stop the tears from welling up and running down my face. I guess this shameful display moved him to take pity on me, taking his hand off my shoulder, but he pressed his fist harder into my chest, causing me to let out a choked cry as I closed my eyes and leaned my head back, waiting to feel the blade slide across my throat. I felt him lean in, his foul breath on my face as he whispered, Next time, I'll make you lick it up. The pressure was removed from my chest, so I suddenly almost fell on my face, but I caught myself, spun around, and ran without looking back. My friends were talking and leaning against the car when I came, I sound more like Batman, yeah. Where is she? Nina Love with the 5 says, I unfortunately can't stay, but I had to stop by to show support. Keep up the amazingness. Thank you, Nina. Thank you for being here, even oh so briefly. Michael McIntosh says, open your eyes. The clues are all there. That would be sweet to time travel. Or teleport. I remember one of the Andrew Basiago stories was him and a young kid teleporting, but the kid landed in a fountain. So, like, up to his knees were covered in water when he landed. And, or maybe he was in the fountain when he teleported. I forget. But anyways, one of his legs, or both of his legs got chopped off because they weren't, like, perfectly in spatial recognition of whatever tech they had, and he ended up losing his legs, or the legs didn't come with him because water sort of interfered with stuff. So that was pretty scary, because that sounded like straight out of a sci-fi situation, and I'd like to see a movie done with that. That could be an approach rather than kind of direct disclosure. You could do it through fiction. That's usually how most people do it. Where would I go? Where would I time travel to? Well, one thing I did find fascinating was something I had seen before in various threads, but basically it's a declassified CIA document about remote viewing, which is like sort of like psychic viewing of there were certain coordinates which ended up being on the coordinates that they had inside the envelope or something were actually on Mars, but it was to be viewed over 1 million years BC or something like that. And it just so happened that these were on Mars, and the individual who was pretty savvy at remote viewing, and this is a declassified CIA document, by the way. It's on the Discord in the Conspiracies channel if you guys are interested, and you could probably look it up, just remote viewing CIA, etc. But basically the individual was able to remotely view some sort of civilization that existed on Mars over 1 million years ago. And the fact that it's like an actual CIA document certainly makes me, certainly is questionable to say the least, but certainly interesting. Oh, Michael, I wanted to ask you, the Arnold Schwarzenegger for 2040 for President of the United States, wouldn't that not make any sense because Arnold wasn't a native-born natively born in the United States, but was born in Austria, I believe. So I feel like that unless they changed the laws by then, I'm not really sure. My friends were talking and leaning against the car when I came tearing out of the store. They chuckled at first, asking if I had fallen in, but quickly realized that I was in distress. I told them everything that had happened. Jack, being almost like a protective big brother to me, stormed inside and notified the store's employees. The police were called and ended up catching the homeless man as he sat in his car, parked in the grocery store parking lot. They had him cuffed in the back of their cruiser as they questioned me a few times. I kept glancing over nervously. He never took his eyes off me, staring daggers at me until they took him to the station. He apparently had a few priors of aggressive behavior, but had never pulled a weapon before today. I did feel kind of sorry for him. I have a soft spot for the less fortunate, inherited from my father, and despite him coming within inches of cutting my throat, I felt bad that he had become such an angry person due to his situation, and it was now getting him into deeper and deeper trouble. I don't know what happened to him after that. My friends and I avoided that store and the area around it for the rest of the time that I lived in that state. Jack offered to let me drive on the way to his place, seeing as I had asked him almost every day to get behind the wheel, but I told him that I didn't think it was a good idea right now. My hands were still shaking a little. Right, he said awkwardly. We sat in silence during the drive, and while we ate, turning on the TV for some background noise. Things did pick up as time passed, and it was a decent night after that. I felt a little better as weeks went by, but ever since, I've had the bad habit of wiping down the seats of any public toilet I use, even if it's not my mess. I can just wash my hands after, I tell myself. Now to the homeless man that accused me of looking down on him, pinned me to the wall of a grocery store bathroom, and held a knife to my throat. I hope I didn't make life too much harder for you, and that you are doing well. But just in case you still hold a grudge and possess that knife, I think it's best for both of us to never meet in that bathroom again. Did we solve the question about the Terminator for president, seeing as he is an actual time traveler? Well, that was a pretty good story, actually, for this first one, so that would probably be most likely the story that I start out the video with. Arthur St. Clair was president. He was born in Scotland. Cashy says I should watch the YouTuber Jenny Nicholson. I love her and her Star Wars videos, even though I don't like her like Star Wars. What's her name? Jenny? Let me see. I may have seen her before. Is she like super dry? Yeah, I've seen her where she kind of like breaks down. She kind of poops on stuff, not literally, but just her thoughts on it. Yeah, I definitely was not the world's biggest fan of all the recent Star Wars. Justin Fitzpatrick says, you have a great storytelling ability. Who's your favorite other story channel, B-Buster or Lazy Masquerade? They're both great. I do like, I am partial to Lazy Masquerade's voice. I just find it rather chilling and scary when he tells a certain story, I suppose. Actually, I want to hear his voice real quick because I like doing his voice if I can do it, actually, but Lazy Masquerade here. Oh yeah, he's recently been doing those 50 states stuff, and those are doing really well, which is really good. I like his opening too. I love that piano. I wonder if he wrote that. Patreon. Go to my Patreon. Patreon.
This is part 9 of my American road trip series, in which...
There it is. This is part 9 of my American road trip series. Yeah. You guys should go listen to that if you haven't before. I guess if he's at part 9, he's got one more part to go. Which then, I wonder if he'll do a compilation of those. That would be pretty sick. All 50 states. Have I ever listened to Cryotic's readings? I do like Cry's voice. His voice is pretty spot on yummy. Alright, this one's called The Warning. Wait. Okay. Daniel Landau, Joel, you are good, but my dad is the best storyteller to this day. He can tell a story to scare the crowd. Well, he should start a YouTube channel. And then everyone can vote. Sounds like an abused English orphan. This might be true. Let's drink a spot of tea. Okay. I'll do this. So in my 3rd year of college, I had been dating this guy on and off for about a year at this point, and he was gorgeous. So in my 3rd year of college, I had been dating this guy on and off for about a year at this point, and he was gorgeous. Dark brown skin, tattoos, perfect smile, lips, nice body, and everything. He was a student at my university. We studied the same subject and worked in the same field. Luckily for me, he was into curvy white girls with hair down to their butt. We were on and off due to his cheating, but I would continue to take him back. He was so persuasive and charming, I couldn't help myself. He made me fall in love through a cocktail of personality mirroring attentiveness and a huge, grand gestures after a mistake. So one night, about a year into the relationship, we had decided to sleep at my tiny studio apartment in the college town I resided in at the time. I cooked dinner, we watched a Mike's Ep stand-up special on Netflix, had some dialogue about how our day had gone while we weren't together, typical couple things. So we had settled... Whoops. Also, speaking of stand-up specials, you guys need to watch... You guys need to watch the new Dave Chappelle stand-up. It's called Sticks and Stones. It's on Netflix right now. Recently came out. It's very, very funny. And he's got about 4 Netflix specials on there currently. So if you haven't even seen Dave Chappelle, you're missing out. But obviously, if you've already caught up to him and you haven't seen this new one, it's pretty good. I enjoy it. I like when stand-up comedians have finally had enough, you know what I mean? Because they break away from like the sort of mainstream narrative of things, because they're sort of like the last bastion, in my perspective, of like free speech, where they actually get to say what's on their mind, whereas certain entertainers kind of have to be relatively PC about things. And if you know me, I'm not all about that. Cashy, Dave Chappelle, he is a funny guy. So we had settled in and finally began to wind down and doze off. I fell into a deep, deep sleep. The kind of deep where you're so asleep that your dreams feel real, and you can feel sensations such as smell, taste, and touch. I was in the grocery store. I was sampling the free samples. Delicious. I was smelling the baked goods. Scrumptious. I ran into my neighbor and we talked about her mom who was going through chemo. Suddenly the cancer had disappeared. I piled my cart high with groceries and enjoyed each aisle, enjoying my time alone. I wheeled myself to the checkpoint, and as I was on my way to the open checkout line, I was stopped by a very tall and seemingly fit and muscular elderly man. Tufts of white hair poked out of the sides of his hair, and a puff of his on his chin. You're waiting for an Eddie Murphy 3-part special. Yeah, Eddie Murphy would be... I love Eddie Murphy. I haven't seen him do comedy in Who knows how long. Nutty Professor. Do I have any merch like hoodies? I do. shop.spreadshirt.com/let's read. And you can have your pick of the bundle. I wheeled myself to the checkout. Tufts of white hair poked out of the sides of his hair and a puff on his chin. He had either veneers or dentures. He was dressed in a blue with white pinstripes, button-up, short-sleeved shirt with dozens of pens in his shirt pocket. He wore a Coke bottle. He wore Coke bottle glasses. He smelled of peppermint. He had gently grabbed my elbow and called my name. Nothing in the entire world could have prepared me for what he said once he gained my attention. "There's someone in your apartment. You need to wake up now. You have to get out." He repeated himself several times. I left my cart and headed for the exit. He followed me, but not menacingly. He became increasingly louder and began chasing me. Somehow I could feel his concern. As soon as I reached the automatic doors and felt the whoosh of the air through my hair, I sat up in bed quickly in a cold sweat. The clock read 2:47. My boyfriend woke up to me and told me to stop moving around so much. I sprang out of bed, grabbed my biggest knife from the block, and circled through my apartment, throwing on the lights and screaming. I shoved aside drapes, the shower curtain, stormed my pantry, and crawled under my bed. No one. Silly me, it was just a dream. A week later at 2:47 a.m. on the dot, I had escaped my apartment. I saw the time on the stove illuminating my almost pitch kitchen? Oh yeah, we're almost at 500 people. Heck yeah. Click that like button if you haven't already. I forgot to say that. She sounds like Gordon Freeman. Gordon Freeman. Gordon Freeman? No. What am I thinking of? Morgan. You're thinking of Morgan Freeman. But there is a Gordon Freeman from Half-Life. And I was like, Gordon doesn't have a voice. Rick James. I'm Rick James, bitch. I saw the time on the stove illuminating my almost pitch-black kitchen as I rushed out the front door and sprinted to my car in a t-shirt, underwear, and barefoot. My boyfriend and I got into an argument that day about his ex calling incessantly. My last message was sent around 6:45 p.m., according to my phone records. I told him I wanted a few hours to myself to gather my thoughts and feelings, so I didn't say things I didn't mean. I turned my phone off, I grabbed a coffee, bought a novel I had wanted to read, and sat at my favorite coffee shop until close. I met my best friend for dinner and drinks. She offered to let me sleep over with her for moral support, but I really just wanted to be alone. I hit the gym until 2. I walked home. 2:10, I was in the door. He was there, waiting for me, furious. He beat the life out of me. He was mad I denied him access to me. The dream flooded my memory as I drove myself to the ER, barely able to see. My eyes were swelling shut. I remember seeing the man throughout the entire store, but never paying any mind. I remember hearing his voice echoing in my ears. I remember thinking in the following days after the dream if I should change my locks or buy an alarm system. I brushed it off. It was just a dream. I couldn't feel my face. His blood dripped onto my bare thighs from my... hot blood. Whoops, sorry. I couldn't feel my face. Hot blood dripped onto my bare thighs from my face. My lip was busted and giant. My eyes were black and looked like plums, so swollen. He had screamed obscenities at me about how I was out cheating. All these terrible things about me being disrespectful. He would put me in the place. About how he would put me in my place as a woman. I remained silent throughout my beating that night. Even a whimper would be too much of a reward. He eventually tired out and told me to shower, and we would sleep together. He apologized and told me he would fix it tomorrow. I sat motionless on the floor of my studio, stripped of my clothes, bruised and bloody. He stood and waited for me to head for the shower. When I didn't respond quickly enough, he locked the front door and took my keys into the bathroom and locked the door. I had a spare set. As soon as I heard the water run and the curtain close, I threw on a big white t-shirt I used for painting, grabbed my spare car keys from the cabinet above my fridge, checked the time with a glance, and let the door slam on my way out. I had to be fast. I got to my car, locked the doors, and threw it in reverse. I made it to the freeway and felt my vision failing me. Was I passing out? Was I even going the right way? Hey Siri? Has never been handier. Turn by turn, I made it to the ER. No idea how long I waited to be seen. I passed out in the waiting room chair. No dream this time. It was a shallow, shallow sleep. I felt them poking and prodding me, taking off my clothes and replacing them. I heard my mother's frantic voice and my father's grunt. He's a man of few words. That old man from my dream was trying to warn me, and I didn't see it. I thought he meant an intruder. I've seen him one other time in a dream, and it was the night my ex was sentenced. I was in the grocery store. He stopped me by my elbow, but this time, all I got was a wink. Well, that was pretty out there. Have any of you guys ever received any sort of premeditative dreams? I love eating food. I love drinking drinks. Who's with me? Haha. Man. Water is like the greatest thing that I ever made. Jeez, these stories are long AF. Pee. Yeah, I just took a pee in a bottle, and you guys got to listen. Just kidding. Just kidding. Right? I have to say just kidding about everything. You had many small dreams where somebody is talking to me and it later happens in the future. That's cool. You had a dream last night that you were in the Chucky movie and Jason was also there. Nice. The mic is so ASMR inducing, makes me thirsty every time you get water. That's funny. I'm glad that the mic can achieve that ASMR quality. You heard your sensei speak to you telepathically once. What did he say? Alright, this story is called The Scariest Time of My Entire Life. I wasn't always a kid moving through their adolescence at light speed, wanting to grow up fast and keep up with the lifestyles of those who acquainted me. By age 13, despite still partying young, experiencing the fascinating things the world had to offer, I was still pretty innocent. I played online gaming with people I'd known from school, had a reasonably good relationship with my family who considered me to be on the lower end of the sensible spectrum for a guy my age. That side of me diminished quickly, my personality and lifestyle transforming into the more somewhat independent, rebellious, naive, risk-taking type at the flick of a switch. Experimenting with various hallucinogenics and alcohol was my main priority, with everything else in my life becoming something I had no care for. Years and years of bullying, abuse, neglect, isolation, and alienation had caught up with me, and the fact I had substances to cover all of that up with was, well, at the time, my safe place. The whole world around me became nothing more than a big adventure from that moment onward. I moved cities by myself when I was 14 to pursue a girlfriend I had never even met other than on social media. I stayed in that town for 6 months on and off, acquainting myself with locals of all ages and lifestyles. Still, I felt alone and something was missing in my life. I'm sure we all go through this dilemma at least once in our adolescence and deal with it all in different ways. It's subjective to who we are, the way our brains are wired, who we are surrounded by, our environment. I attended high school briefly in this town where most of my classes I would have my head buried in a book, writing Jim Morrison poetry, along with a bunch of other things that were going on in my inner monologue. My girlfriend had severe mental health issues, to the point where I couldn't even spend time with her without being taken to a cemetery where she would ask me if I would help her bring different names of people home so we could look after them. Her voice would change, and she would fluctuate between the teenage girl she was and from what I presumed to be an infant. An average day would be smoking in the morning, school for as long as I could stomach being attentive to the class without getting too absorbed in my own thoughts, and then over to either one of the 2 or 3 friends I had made to get even more drink. Fuck, dude. And then over to either one of the 2 or 3 friends I had made to smoke and drink even more until the sun came up. After that relationship ended, I moved back to my hometown and tried my hardest to ease myself into a routine, thinking doing so would balance out my head. I attended therapy, was diagnosed with different psychiatric disorders and medicated for them. Once I was settled in, the partying started again, and new people came in and out of my life. I was smoking more, selling to support my own habit. A certain group of us would love to trip, hoping to achieve some sort of spiritual enlightenment from doing so. We took whatever we could get our hands on. I look back and can't seem to decipher whether or not I reached the level of enlightenment I was hoping to achieve, but... Sorry, my nose got itchy. I had to stop. Rowdy says, I love you. You're my top 5 favorite narrators on YouTube. Your voice is so soothing, and I love your stories and videos. Thank you, Rowdy. Love you too. Worst YouTuber Eva says, I think us Canadians can take the chat over. Uh-oh. The Canadians rise up. I look back and can't seem to decipher whether or not I reached the level of enlightenment I was hoping to achieve, but I don't care. There were good times and bad times, of course. I got bored and moved from friend group to friend group. I started drinking heavily, attending parties, either with other acquaintances or by myself, just floating around our seaside city, lost, confused, and something was missing. A couple of the dodgiest people I'd ever met showed me what methamphetamine was, in which case I wasn't interested. I hated it, due to what I knew it did to your body, mind, and soul, finances, and family. One night I ended up with that one guy. One night I ended up with that one guy. How do we know that one guy? Pusa Studios, hello, let's read Heard About You from Dezombified. Cool, yeah. Welcome. Yeah, I had fun on the Dezombified podcast. It was... If you guys haven't saw that before, definitely check them out. It's 4 hours of me... Pretty much like another stream. Everything you've heard on the stream I had said there. Maybe not everything, but it was a good time. One night I ended up with that one guy, we'll call him Z, and a few of his other friends who I didn't know. I was drinking and tried meth for the first time. I didn't feel a thing and went home that night with a belly full of booze and fell asleep within minutes of putting my head on the pillow. I woke up and realized I had just cut the seal, so to speak, of the drug in which I swore I'd never touch. Now, it would always be an option for me. I knew what I was like. Fast forward 6 months or so, and it was autumn equinox. I was at a dance party, the outdoor type with 24/7 music, ravers, drugs, and mischief. You know the type. I had arrived with some close friends, but after dosing up on psychedelics, I found myself on my own. To put it bluntly, I was off my head. I had no idea where I was, what to do, how to have a conversation with anybody. So after a few hours had passed and the early hours of the morning were dawning, I sat at a big bonfire surrounded by fellow ravers enjoying their night. I mentioned rather loud that I had Somali if anyone wanted to partake. I was introduced to Jay, who took me to the back of his car, who was full of three. Who was full? Who was full? The car is a person? The Haunted Library with 5 says, for reading live, that's Nerve, arriving late, just got off work. Well, thank you, Haunted Library, for the 5. Yeah, reading live. I mean, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, everyone's really nice here, which is great, so I appreciate you guys being awesome and supporting me through my, I think thus far, 35 mistakes I've made. But sometimes I get into a rhythm and it feels pretty good. I was introduced to Jay, who took me to the back of his car, which was full of 3 other people. We spent the next couple of hours until the sun came up using our noses as vacuum cleaners, and all talking at 1,000,000 miles per hour about the most beautiful things we could fathom in our brains at the time. You know, the Molly roll. Lovely memories. I keep in contact with these guys. They had a room at their flat which I was going to fill as I had nowhere else to go. And unfortunately, Jay had to go to prison for some charges that caught up on him. My new family were all I had at the time. They were all I chose to have. I was more lost than ever. I'll never forget the first night that it was only myself and the family there after Jay was locked up. We smoked about a 1/4 gram of meth to ourselves that night, and I fell in love with it. The whole thing fascinated me. The way the product shimmered in the light, how it melted down in the pipe, the feeling you got when you inhaled a huge puff and felt as though you just had a big glass of ice water at your most dehydrated point. I loved twirling the pipe and experimenting with different ways of doing so. I loved the deep conversations, also bringing each other to tears with the connections we felt that night. I loved the feeling of pure dopamine, or overriding my system, not having a care in the world about what's going on anywhere. Emptiness, numbness. Playing PlayStation together until the sun came up, only stopping our conversations and gaming to smoke more or slow ourselves down with some ganja. The next few days were foggy. I didn't want to eat, didn't want to sleep. All we focused on was the fun, in which we called scoring more drugs to go around and continuing our bender. I got really bad at this stage and was isolating myself from the rest of the house. We acquired another roommate, whom I'd known since I was younger. He was worried every day that he'd open my door in the morning so we could have our morning smoke and coffee, that I wouldn't be with us anymore. I was a mess. I started owing people large sums of money, all in which could have risked my life. I knew I was moving too fast, but I was just so alone. Drugs filled that empty space, or so I thought. I met a girl at this point, who I won't talk much about, but to cut a long story short, she was physically, mentally, and spiritually abusive towards me from almost day 1, and trapped me in a relationship with her for almost 2 years. Those 2 years were full of partying, the last 2 years of high school, pain, and more pain. After getting her out of my life, the terror starts. I moved back to my... Miss Molly with the 5 says, hi Joel, hope your night is going well. Thank you, Molly. The night is going very well. We miss you in Discord. I haven't seen you in there in quite a moon or two. I know we all have been... A lot of people get busy and doing different things. But thank you for the 5. Stay in drugs. Don't do school. I moved back to my hometown and was more lost than ever. I had no purpose. My family and I had long since fallen out because of my life choices over the past few years, and the groups of friends I had were all broken up and people were going their own way. I landed myself a job moving furniture, which tied up my days and brought in the money I needed to survive. I was alone. I felt alone. I'd had enough one day, and Z arrived at my house. He brought out a pipe full of crystals and let me go for it until I felt like my feet weren't even touching the ground. I met other dealers, whom of which let me take meth on credit, which always landed me in so much trouble. I had connections all around me wanting to sell me. Shit. I had connections all around me wanting to sell to me, wanting me to sell for them. Every day I smoked, went to work, almost collapsed out of dehydration, trying to keep myself together in front of customers, Things were getting weird. I started to get tired. I could catch myself falling asleep standing up at 4 a.m. in the morning in my room. I was deteriorating. A girl came into my life who was seeing someone else. We became obsessed with each other, knowing full well about her boyfriend, and that made me worse. The guilt was unbearable, mixed with the lust of wanting her all to myself. One day, one of my acquaintances decided we should take a drive. I had drugs on me, and so did he. We ended up getting surrounded by police cars after being parked for around 15 minutes, and I was cuffed and taken away. I escaped with a possession charge. He escaped with nothing. For the rest of my life, that night's going to be the one time I wish I just stayed at home. Life will never be the same. I met a dealer through a mutual friend. She told me she had a massive connection and that it was mine on tap if I wanted it. I took advantage of that and used manipulation to trick her into giving me as much as I wanted throughout a month where she thought I was expecting some sort of inheritance money to arrive. I was loaded. I had pockets full of the drug that everyone knew I desired. Everything. Bottles of liquor, anything you could want. I was the guy to be around. That month or two, I don't think I slept. Many people came and went, had the best times of their lives adventuring around the suburbs and the country at my expense. So many beautiful, messed up memories. Meanwhile, I wasn't okay. I was deteriorating more and more physically, mentally, and spiritually. The psychosis started. Nobody took me seriously when I reached out. The people who were there for the drugs and the company just found it funny. My family didn't have a clue what to do. Therapy wasn't working because I didn't want to stop. What unfolded next was the most terrifying time of my life so far. In the park next to my house, which I could see clearly through my window, I would obsess over people and lights that would accommodate the trees and bushes from the moment it got dark until the moment the sun came up, falling asleep in between. Almost destroying my room's walls trying to find hidden camera. Well, shit. This guy's gone bonkers, man. Jamie needs your pounds. Jamie, it's time to lift some weights and get big AF. Almost destroying my room's walls trying to find hidden cameras and microphones. Scaring away everyone who wanted to hang out with me by my God damn it. Scaring away everyone who wanted to hang out with me by my terrifying demeanor. I was sleep-deprived, paranoid, and dangerously unpredictable. I never heard anyone... Man, sometimes I lose my rhythm. I never hurt anyone, but people thought I would. I would think drones would fly laps around my house with cameras. Shadows spoke to me, gestured to me. I would hear a knock at the door and think it was someone arriving to end my life. Once the dealers wanted their money that I didn't have, it made things worse. I faced potential boot rides, extortion techniques, and all other sorts of psychiatric torture. Too many people were after me, real, not real. I didn't care. I was gone. After some contemplation, I left town and spent 4 or 5 days up to old habits in a different city. Got death threats for whole new reasons, jaw almost broken by being assaulted for no reason, and ended up homeless. I lost everything. I'd hit rock bottom. 2.5 years later, I've been sober of all substances since August of Jamie eats all the time. You gotta eat more. And you gotta lift more. You gotta lift some heavy ass weight. Have you been trying any anime techniques? That's a good question, Elijah. All squat together and build that bootay. 2.5 years later, I've been sober of all substances since August of 2017. I'm engaged to my safe place. A beautiful woman I met just after I hit rock bottom. She's my best friend and helps me through anything as I do her. 2 messages for the story. Don't touch meth. Be careful with the consumption of any drugs. You never know what's around the corner. 2. No matter how scared you are, how deep and dark you are down a hole, there's always a way out. There's always a chance of escaping addiction. You've just got to pick the right moment and don't look back. Surround yourself with new people. Set goals. Eat healthy. Move away if you can. Have a fresh start. Loads of support is out there. Never give up. If anyone needs any support, I'm right here, just a message away. Wait, fuck. But I wanted to make sure this blah 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 blah. If anyone has any questions about it, okay. Surround yourself with new people. Set goals. Eat healthy. Move away if you can. Have a fresh start. Loads of support is out there. Never give up. Never give up. Never surrender. You hold your kids and do squats. That's a good start. But isn't it a struggle if you have a big butt when getting pants on, especially skinny jeans? Oh yeah, believe me. I cannot fit into any of my skinny jeans anymore. They just burst at the seams from my big old booty. My Pennsylvania peach, as they say. All right. Justin, sleep well. Thank you. This next story is thick. This next story is real thick. Yeah, I'm pretty thick. It's actually funny, because like my quads are pretty big. That's why I squat a lot. But it's almost kind of disproportionate to like my upper body, but I guess it maybe not necessarily disproportionate. It's just I know it's always kind of like sort of a shock at like the kind of contour that my quads create based on my shorts when they squeeze onto them or some shit and they're like bursting out, you know what I mean? And because I've had multiple like whenever I posted a picture of me in Disneyland in Discord, someone's like, Jesus, you got knees for days. Because I was like crouched and it was like, them squats be kicking in. And then when I recently went to another theme park, coincidentally, I was like stepping over the guardrails because the line was shorter. And my friend was like, oh my God, he's like, your legs are abnormally muscular. And I was like, now I'm starting to get like self-conscious about it or whatever. I guess maybe I'm not if I'm talking about it, but anyways. Cheyenne Dory Bob with the 2 says, bubble butt just like Arissa. Oh, dude, Arissa is thick with like 30 C's. 30 C's sick. Thanks, Jamie. Alright, Scoot Games, I'm done talking about my butt. Somebody else talk about their butt. We need to transfer to another butt. Our neighborhood was very nice. We lived in a northern suburb of Chicago. This all happened from the time I was 5 to 7. Our neighbors to our right were very close to my family. My parents were friends with them, and my brother and I were friends with their daughter, who was my brother's age. My mom babysat for their 4-year-old Sarah and their baby May every day of the week because their mother worked long hours. They also had a son named Christopher, who was 13. He was friends with the neighbors next to their house, named J.R. Those neighbors were extremely disturbed. They were Filipino, like our neighbor's mom, and her husband was Persian. The Filipino neighbors had a son who was Christopher's age, named J.R., and a daughter who was 16, named Cristobella. Christopher was friends with J.R. until he did something disturbing and horrible to Christopher's mom. One day, Maria was changing and noticed JR watching her. She set up cameras and caught him pleasuring himself while watching her. Oh, wow, this is hilarious. Sorry. Summercat, what's up? With the 5 says, I'm late, but I wanted to donate and say hi. I hope everyone has a lovely night. Thank you, Summercat. Good to see you again. It's been a little while. Pancake booty, got that. Hey, we love a good pancake. A little syrup on there, can't go wrong. You ever watch Black Butler? That's an anime, right? She set up cameras and caught him pleasuring himself while watching her. He also relieved himself on her back door a lot. Very strange stuff. Maria and her husband ended up moving because they became afraid he would break in or something. Soon after that, my dad's racing bike was stolen by JR. He knew it was JR because he saw him riding it in front of our house. My dad went over to their house to confront their father and get his bike back. The father threatened my father and denied JR stole anything. My father decided it wasn't worth it because of the threats of violence. He did call the police, but nothing came of it. One day, JR's father and another man came to our house and started yelling to my dad to come outside. My mom locked the screen door and asked what they wanted. They told her they were going to beat up my dad because JR had been riding my dad's bike back and forth in front of our house, and my dad yelled at him. Soon after, something horrendous happened. My brother and I had a bunny named Thumper and a guinea pig named Piglet. We left their cage outside during the day and brought them in at night. My family went out, and when we came back, Thumper had been drowned in our kiddie pool, and Piglet had been thrown over our fence and into the alley. The vet said Piglet's internal organs were all damaged and she was dying and suffering. We had to have her put to sleep. My brother, my mom, and I were all crying hysterically. My mother knew who did it because the crazy father had threatened our family just because my father confronted him about his son stealing his really expensive bike. My dad yelled at him, and then our pets were... Fuck, sorry. I know, this is a sad story. My dad yelled at him, and then our pets had their lives ended by the husband and his friend. My mom went to their house and confronted the father. He laughed and said they were just animals, and the daughters laughed too. My parents called the police, and they said the police were there all the time. My mom can't remember if the husband got in trouble for what him and his friend did. 2 years later, I was in 2nd grade. I was sleeping in my room with my faithful dog, Wrinkles. Suddenly, I woke up to her barking and heard a sound coming from my window. Suddenly, I heard someone say, "I'm gonna come in and have my way with you." I ran into my parents' room crying and told them what happened. My dad looked out my window and the screen was ripped. They called the police and they found out one of our outside chairs outside my window. Whoops, shit, sorry. So funny, people type ha 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 as the like the SKS. I don't know why I find that funny. I just like how memes come into reality and certain terminology from the younger folk. I ran into my parents' room crying. Okay. They called the police and they found one of our outside chairs outside my window and shoe prints. They searched for JR because they knew that his family had been harassing us. They couldn't find him. I was terrified to sleep in my room for a long time and slept in my parents' room for a while. My dog saved me. If she hadn't been sleeping with me in my room, I don't know what would have happened. Right after it happened, my parents put up motion detector lights by the front door and lights on the ground all the way around the front of our house and the side of our house. They also put another motion detector light in the backyard right above the back door to my brother's room. Later that year, someone knocked on our door and my mom answered and no one was there, but on the ground was a plate with rice and a dead crow. My mom is convinced it was a curse from the neighbors. I don't know if it was a last hateful act or a threat. They moved a month later and things went back to normal. JR, we better never meet. I'm saying that for your benefit because if you and I do meet, I'll destroy everything you and your family did to mine. JR, we better never meet. I'm only saying that for your benefit because if you and I do meet, I'll destroy everything you love for what your family did to mine. You had no respect for women and you terrorized my neighbors into moving and you terrorized me. I also blame you for my pets. They lost their lives because of you and your psychoticness. I hope you have the worst life and that karma has come to you and will destroy your family. Well, shit. We just witnessed a full-on family feud. I will destroy everything you love. Everything. All of it. I will nuclear bomb. I will destroy you. Trent, you're from left field. There's like a, sorry, that was like a crazy scream. There's like a music genre called left field. Anybody ever listen to that? Crows are the best. Yeah, crows are very smart. Almost too smart. Lils, you want to donate, but you're thinking about you want to go drink too. Yeah, don't. No, Lils, you have donated far too much tonight. I want to thank you for all you've done, honestly. So don't even think about donating again. Go enjoy yourself. Have fun with your friends. And thank you for being here. Yeah, you just bought me a 5-course lobster dinner already. But thank you. Alright, 2 a.m. stalker here. The story, not me. Black-eyed kids, won't you kid? And knock on my door. Black-eyed kids, won't you come? Ever been to London? I have not. It sounds scary. No, I'm just kidding. The accents, that is. I work third watch shifts of what luck. Okay. I work third watch shifts at my job in a neighboring city, so I don't get off till 2 a.m. That being said, I got off at 2 a.m. like I had every other night I get off of work. Nothing out of the ordinary. It takes me about 20 minutes to get home from work, so I typically just turn up my music and ignore the other cars while driving home. All went the same as it does every night. This particular night was a Saturday, or technically speaking Sunday morning, so there were a few other cars on the road, as the bars typically close here around the same time that I get off. I make it to the exit that I take to get off the highway back to my house when I start to get an uneasy feeling in my gut. I see a car behind me get off the highway as well, but shake it off as nothing since there was another car next to me, and this is a popular exit/side street that many people take to get home. I make the turn to head towards my neighborhood, and this car follows suit. Again, nothing super out of the ordinary since there are a lot of neighborhoods around mine. It wasn't until I got to the street where my neighborhood is located that my gut was telling me, in the strongest way I'd ever felt, that this car was following me. They weren't even particularly close to me or speeding up to catch up to me, but I still felt that something was really wrong. So I turn on the road and speed up to get away from him. His headlights vanish, and I make the turn into my neighborhood and wait at the end of the street to see if he goes past the entrance or not. To my horror, he makes the turn into the entrance and comes towards me. I couldn't let this guy know where I lived, and my neighborhood is one giant square, so I make sure he's following me. I make a left, he follows. I make another left into a cul-de-sac, or a dead end to those who don't know what that is, and turn around and go back the way I came. He makes every move I make, but what almost scares me the most is that when I go straight down the road and past my house, he he stops his car directly in front of my house. At no point did I slow down or stop in front of the house, so unless he was following me before, there's no way this guy knows where I live. Now I'm all the way at the end of the long T-shaped road, looking behind me, watching this guy stopped in front of my house. After a few minutes, he starts to come towards me again, and I speed off, making another left. Again, my neighborhood is 2 squares put together with connecting streets, and park my car and shut off all my lights on the street that is behind my house. I thought that by blacking out my car, he would drive past and not notice amongst the other cars parked on the street, but of course I was wrong. He parks his car behind me and proceeds to get out. This man is a tall, burly Hispanic male with lots of tattoos. Remember, it's 2 a.m. and I'm a 23-year-old small white girl who forgot to bring any protection with me, so I'm completely defenseless besides being in my car. And this is the part where I still have a hard time telling my story because I have what I consider survivor's guilt. I feel so stupid for allowing him to even come close to me, but I was in full panic mode and froze up for a minute. He comes up to my window, standing a few feet away, and asks if I know anything about the guy with the big van. My neighbor has a large camper van parked in the driveway next to my house, and that's what he was referring to. My window is barely cracked, enough to where you can... I'm actually doing pretty well for how this story's kind of paced with the sentences and stuff. I'm surprised. Yes, sacrifice the tacos. We must get to 700 viewers. Yes. Yes. Oh, the viewers. I need all of you staring at the screen, listening with your ears. Ooh. My window is barely cracked, enough to where he can hear me but not see me. My windows are super tinted, and it's hard to see in them during the day, nonetheless at night, luckily. I tell him I know nothing about the people with the van. Of course, I'm lying because all that's running through my head is, don't let this guy know where you live. He then proceeds to ask me, "You're Mexican, right?" I think this is a strange question. I think this strange question snapped me out of my frozen panic, and I immediately put my car in drive and drive around the corner. I find a spot to hide my car again and back it out for the second time. I'll black it out this second, sorry. I find a spot to hide my car again and black it out for the second time. This time I see his car coming around the corner where he proceeds to go sit directly in front of mine and my neighbor's house. At this point I can see his car, but he doesn't know where I am, and I immediately call the police. As soon as the police turn into the neighborhood, the man drives off, probably seeing them drive down the back road. By the time the police reach me, my whole family and fiancé are outside at this point, as my fiancé had woken up my parents to tell them what was going on. I drive up to the 3 cops to show up and give them my story. Just as the cops were about to leave, the man shockingly drives back around and is met with 3 police officers this time. My mom gets in the car with me, and we drive around the corner until my stepdad calls us and tells us the man left, and we're okay to come back and talk to the police. After everything was said and done, the cops had no probable cause to arrest him, so all they could do was tell him to never come back here. I actually work for a police department, so this doesn't come as a surprise to me, just a disappointment. They did tell us the man was crazy, and he made up some nonsense story about how my neighbors owed him $10, and that he was talking to his wife or something along those lines. I don't completely remember his story, but it was something stupid that didn't make any sense, so whatever. We're really good friends with our neighbors who are in their 60s, retired, and happily married. Ever since that experience, my head is constantly on a swivel, and I am always aware of my surroundings. Nothing like that has thankfully ever happened again, but I never do what it would have been. What is it next time? Next time I will drive... sorry. Nothing like that has thankfully ever happened again, but I will never do what I did if it does. Next time I will drive somewhere well lit, like a gas station or a 24/7 store parking lot. That's what I was told was best anyways if it happens that late again. I have never had a gut feeling like that before, and all I know is that if I ever feel that feeling again, I'll have my phone ready to dial 911 immediately. Always trust your gut. It's never wrong. And as for this... Oh, Jesus. I don't know why people always do the let's not meet again thing. Like, that's fine, but I hate it. I literally hate it in stories, and I wish no one would ever type that ever in the history of time ever again. Okay, that's all I have to say. Always trust your gut. You know, I've only ever had that gut feeling like, you know, a few times, you know? And, oh yeah, guys, join the Discord. It's a fun little chill zone in there. A lot of good people to chit-chat with and just vent your frustrations and things of that nature. But I only ever had that gut feeling once. Like, I was talking with my friend, you know, over my headphones through my phone while I went to the grocery store pretty late. I think it was actually after a stream one time. So, like, after midnight, probably maybe closer to 2 a.m. Lils with the 20 says, for your appetizer after your 5 lobster course. Oh my god. Lils, you are insane. You are crazy and amazingly kind. I don't even know where this generosity stems from, but you are a beautiful human being. Thank you so much. I hope that's not hindering you from going out and having a good time with your friends. You deserve it. You're fantastic. Thank you so much. But yeah, I was telling this story about, like, I went to the grocery store and I had my headphones in and I was chatting with my friend, and, you know, as I was doing grocery shopping, and I don't know what it was. There was only me and sort of a middle-aged woman, definitely on the latter end of 30, into her 40s, and it was just so strange. It was like everywhere I went in the grocery store, I wasn't quite as sort of demonstrating it because of my, you know, body language wise, like because I was talking on the phone, but everywhere I went in the grocery store, this lady just followed me, like every aisle. And at first I thought, I was like, oh shit, she's gonna think I'm following her, because like from a guy's perspective, like, you know, you hear, you know, every girl like thinks every guy is a creeper probably or whatever, so you're like, in your mind you're like, oh god, I don't want this person to like feel uncomfortable. And so I thought that I was following her, but it was like pretty clear, like I've, you know, just everywhere I ventured, even though we were like the only ones in the grocery store, and there's so many other places she could have been, unless we had just identical grocery lists or something like that. It was Jamie stalking me. No, this was not you, Jamie. Like this this person just like, it was just too oddly coincidental. Like probably at least 7 different aisles that I would be doing something and she would just be standing there, and maybe there was like some sort of like social awkwardness of like she wanted me to say something to her or something like that, which I've never really experienced with anybody, especially like a girl, you know what I mean? I know like I've seen guys do that before to like chicks, or like you hear about it in these kind of stories where like the guy just thinks like, oh, I find you attractive, therefore I have to make myself as awkwardly present as possible until eventually you did she hear my voice? You know, she may have been hearing my voice if she was listening to me talk, so maybe she was trying to put 2 and 2 together with me talking or something like that, and how, you know, maybe had a bit of a lady boner. I don't know, but I don't think, you know, when I talk in real life, which I guess is right now, Axeman says the lady was me in drag. I was trying to seduce you. Yeah, it was not working, even though if I would have seen you just in your normal outfit, I would have jumped on that ASAP. But it was, yeah, probably lobster stuck in my teeth and she was trying to tell me. After the 5th lobster, it's hard to keep their claws out of between the canines, so to speak. But yeah, no, and then from that point it was the 7th aisle, and then I went to check out, and there was only really one checkout, but it was just the timing was really strange, and I was still talking on the phone during that time, and I was kind of putting two and two together by that point, or at least seeing some strange consistencies. But then as I was still talking on the phone, almost at this point for like safety purposes. I don't know why I shouldn't have felt unsafe, but it was the first time I've ever felt that way in a while, and maybe it's because of the stories I read, starting to become paranoid or some shit. But as I was pushing my cart over to the cart corral area, she just seemed to kind of like try to walk in step with me. It was really strange, parallel to me on the other side of the cart corral, and then just like always catch her sort of looking. And then as I started up my car, I started it up, and I was still on the phone with my friend, and at that point I just waited it out. I was just like, dude, this chick's freaking me out. I am going to just wait for her to leave. And then she like just after like, holy crap, like close to like 5 minutes or something, finally like took her car and started like slowly going to like where there's the stop signs for pedestrians that you don't really need to stop at a grocery store, especially at 2 a.m. She just stopped at a full stop there, full stop at the normal stop sign, full stop at the freaking, intersection light that was not necessary to stop at. And then once she was unable to, determine where I would go, I just like left. But like, it was just really strange because I went this one direction, and I swear to God, at the intersection that took me to the highway, I saw her drive in front of me, like her car, it was like, because I remember it being a nice car, like a Lincoln car, and it like passed in front of me. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, probably just wanted to cuddle. I know. Anyways, it was probably Axeman and Drag, which I wish I would have known. Because then I would have gave this up, baby girl. Give it up. So these next stories are a little bit paranormal. So if anybody's like doesn't want to get scared, definitely. Yeah. Well, it's weird though, because like from a guy's perspective, I was just like thinking about like an older cougar out and about getting groceries, maybe potentially thinking in a sort of romantic sense. Been out of the game for a little while, and the only way she knows how to do is to stalk a gentleman of sorts. And I just was not in the mood to give her a tip of my fedora. I really didn't want to tip my fedora to her at all. So hopefully she's not in the chat right now and won't come to the grocery store right after this to cut me throat. Fuck me life, fuck me wife. Whoa, there's a moth in my room. There's a moth in my room, everybody get down. Dark Tower Searcher, get ready. You're about to be scared poopless. Alright, temporary ghost. Here we go. Now keep in mind, nothing like this has ever happened in our house before, and nothing since. To my knowledge, but I haven't lived here for over 2 years. I haven't lived here for over 2 years? To my knowledge, but I haven't lived there for over 2 years now. But I haven't lived there for over 2 years. Why would that be significant? Now keep in mind, nothing like this has ever happened in our house before, and nothing since. And I haven't mentioned it to any of my family because they'd think I'm either an idiot or I would spook them. Anyway, now to the meat and potatoes. I was usually the last one to go to bed that summer, and I could never shake the feeling that there was something in the house. Something just out of sight wandering the halls in the dark hours of the night. Never any strange occurrences of note, never any sightings of black figures or apparitions, just this feeling that there was an extra occupant in the house. For a while, this had me nervous. I was losing sleep. I had started to sleep with a small lamp on in my room, just so it wasn't so dark in my room. As the tension escalated, I pulled out my Bible and left it open to the 23rd Psalm while I slept and kept my necklace with the Lord's Prayer engraved on a cross next to me all night. This is at least giving me the peace of mind to sleep. But then, even though it didn't get stronger, the feeling of something being in the house extended into the daylight hours, notably the afternoon. I vividly remember trying to take a nap on a recliner in the unfinished portion of our basement, kind of a man cave area of the house. No one else likes to hang out there, and I kept my guitars and amps there too. It was a sunny afternoon around 2:30 or 3 p.m. on my day off. I was reclined in the chair and half asleep, and the feeling came back, but it wasn't as threatening since I wasn't surrounded by darkness, but rather warm sunlight wafting in through the basement window. I could almost visualize a black humanoid figure just floating and wandering around the passages of our house. Not a threatening or malevolent feeling, but definitely kind of creepy. A little history on the house. It's been added onto at least 3 times, twice before we moved in and once by us. Under my bedroom is a crawl space where the basement did not extend under one of these additions. Around this time, I started to have a reoccurring dream. In the dream, my brother and I would come across a room in the basement that no one knew existed. Upon entering, we noticed the room was just completely trashed and a red, dim orange light hung in the air. There was also the feeling of a malevolent presence in the room. A few weeks later, I packed up and moved into an apartment in my college town, and when I came back home briefly to visit during Christmas and the next summer, nothing. I have never had the overwhelming feeling that something was there or that dream ever again. What could it have been? Can spirits make temporary residencies? Could my dream have been connected? Those are the stories called Kinda Creepy. Immortal KG with the 5 says, always love hearing paranormal stories. Well, thank you, Immortal. Nice. Yeah, Immortal, I was saying recently that I was thinking of maybe cutting back on paranormal stories because they kind of believe it or not, they kind of hurt the channel in the way that YouTube's algorithm works, where it kind of goes based off of momentum. So if one video does really well that's like true scary stories, and then I do a video after that that's also true scary stories, it's like it keeps a momentum building, you know, as far as viewerships, get it, because the biggest thing on YouTube is getting into the recommended video section, like being recommended to other people, because that's how you build subscribers and views and that kind of thing. And so whenever I do paranormal stories, they are some of my favorites, even though this one was kind of like lame, but it like not as many people are into it, so not as many people have that like sort of initial rush to go listen to it, because some people are like, paranormal, I'll skip that one, and then it kind of like hurts the kind of hurts the channel a little bit. So I might actually back off on paranormal stories for a period of time. Pusa Studios says new guidelines will unfortunately hurt so many paranormal channels. Interesting. What does the new guidelines dictate, Pusa? Great name, by the way. Do I know Blue Spooky? I do know Blue Spooky. Do they still make videos? Original Estrella, that's how you found me. Watching Chills and recommended. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's lately, Jamie, yeah. Who's skipping my videos? I know, but I've always hear people just kind of say like, you know, you always get the comments like, and you know, paranormal not so much my thing, kind of thing. But I'll definitely still do paranormal videos. It just might be like less frequently, just to allow the channel to actually build some momentum before the paranormal videos sort of cut into that a little bit. Scoot Games, Let's Read, found you. Gucci Ganja Goon might have to bounce. That's okay. Only a few short stories left here. Notor Ryu, yeah, I am good to go. So thank you so much for your concern, but we have figured that out. All right, Pusa Studio says, thank you. New guidelines as of August 21st doesn't allow family unfriendly content. If you do have it, it will be removed and you can get a strike. What? What? It seems really ambiguous. Like, how do they... What? I'm confused what that even means. You guys are spooking me with these scary... These are the true scary stories when you guys... YouTube's... It's just like, oh, if it's not Wait, if it's not family friendly, they can give you a strike? Who determines what's family friendly? You would kill YouTube. You would kill all of YouTube, because that's the point of YouTube, is that you come to YouTube to watch stuff that's not like censored bullshit all the time. Yeah, Pusa, yeah, if you want to DM me that would be cool. I don't really know what... I mean, like, have you ever... That doesn't make any sense, because, like, even PewDiePie does his freaking Minecraft stuff, and he says fart, or, you know, he says the F word, and you can age restrict the videos. I'm not going to age restrict videos, because then YouTube doesn't send... Like, YouTube does not recommend age restricted videos to anyone. Like, those just don't get sent out, like, at all. Okay, Axman says, no, they will remove violent content pretending to be family friendly. Okay. Huh, well. That's the thing with YouTube changes and stuff. It's always kind of a hearsay situation, but yeah, send me any documents you have. I can read it over. It'll be a little bit more specific. My mom at one point used to brag about being psychic. I myself wish there was another word to describe my own gifts. I'd prefer discernment. Yet, even that word doesn't cover everything I've experienced in my lifetime. But the broad spectrum of paranormal seems to cover a lot of aspects. Growing up in my family, I one day realized my mother would test my gifts. One memory of this, I was 5 years old. I sat on the living room floor playing with my dollhouse. My mother approached me. She asked me if I could locate a wedding ring some family friends had misplaced. My first question was, where was it last? My mother told me it was last seen on the fireplace mantel. I immediately told her it was in the fireplace. She counters by telling me they searched the fireplace already and hadn't found it. Mom, it's in the fireplace. They will have to sift through it or it'll be lost forever. This quiets her. She calls up her friends and tells them exactly what I said. Ironically, someone was coming to clean out their fireplace later that same day. They did sift through the soot and the ring was recovered. In 1986, when the Challenger space shuttle exploded over Florida, our country was rocked. The next day, the picture in all the newspapers were these two clouds of smoke with vapor trails. When my mother picked up the paper, she exclaims, "Oh my God!" "What?" I ask. She picks up a sheet of typewriter paper with a picture drawn on it. She holds it next to the newspaper. It was as if though she copied the picture with pencil. They were identical. That picture my mother had drawn had been on the table for 2 weeks prior to the Challenger's tragedy. As an adult, my intuition has at times seemed like a curse. I'll be having what I think is a normal conversation only to find out the person I was chatting with thinks I know something about a secret they've been hiding because, for some odd reason, I'm talking about subjects that has to do with the issue they're trying to hide. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I don't find out till years later. One time I was invited to stay with some people at their house. Their other roommate was this guy who reminded me of the Addams Family TV show. I'll call him Lurch. I thought he must have narcolepsy. Lurch was always nodding off. He'd fall asleep in the bathroom, snoring on the toilet. Then one day, I don't know why or what possessed me to say this, but I asked, "Lurch, it's as if though you're an addict." He treated me with disdain from there on out. Believe it or not, I found out he in fact was an addict until I had left that house. Wait, fuck. Believe it or not, I found out he was an addict and... What? That doesn't make any sense. Believe it or not, I find out. Wait, believe it or not, I find out he was an addict until I had left it. Alright, whatever. Believe it or not, I didn't find out he was an addict until I had left that house. This gift has actually put my life in danger a few times. What's worse is I haven't a clue why they're upset or why they'd want to hurt me. It reveals itself later. When I was in 6th grade, there was a speech contest at my school. Best advice they gave in giving a speech is to tell what you know. So of course, my speech was on ESP, extrasensory perception. I even won 1st place. One day I'm concerned... Whoops. One day, I'm cornered in the school hallway by 3 boys. One boy says he knows I have ESP. I say, please stop, get real. He doesn't give up. Every example you used in your speech has happened since you gave your speech. There's no way you can prove or disprove your claim, I retort. His face brightens. I know. He points at one of his friends and says, guess his locker combination. I can't pick random numbers out of my head and get it right. Give me the first and the last number and I'll tell you the middle number. He agrees. The numbers given are 36 and 12. I reply without hesitation, 24. I was right, and those boys never bothered me again. That is interesting. Yeah, I don't get where YouTube's going with stuff, you know, like... I mean, the nice thing about YouTube and why people keep coming here is because it gets them away from all of the corporate bullshit that they see every stupid fucking day on CNN, on Nickelodeon, on Comedy Central, on MTV, on ESPN. Like, it's just... It's not like, it doesn't go through like a boardroom think tank to tell you how you should or shouldn't think or what type of content you should or shouldn't consume or how the artist has envisioned their movie playing out. It gives independent creators a platform, and every day they constantly demonstrate that the one thing they built their entire platform on, they wish to just absolutely destroy it. And it's just such a joke. It's such a fucking joke. Like, it's like they can't see reality right in front of their eyes. They just can't see it. They can't see it. But I guess that's what happens when you live long enough to become what you sought to defeat, I suppose. Yeah, it's become less and less friendly for creators. I don't get it. Switching to Newgrounds, that would be sweet. I'm pretty sure, isn't Newgrounds like you almost independently contract to them, like sell them your cartoon or whatever, or your animation or game and whatnot. Like everything's pretty much independently owned by them through contract, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So my family has had a few weird encounters with black-eyed doppelgangers. An example would be that for 5 years straight on the same day I would see my uncle standing in my doorway staring at me, even when he was on the other side of the country. But that's not this story. This is the most recent incident that happened to my mom, though it was a few years ago. It was my mom's birthday. Oops. Yeah, you've become the very thing you sought to destroy. It's true. It's true. You live just long enough to become. You stare into the abyss, and the abyss stares back. But that's not the story. This is the most recent incident that happened to my mom, though it was a few years ago. It was my mom's birthday. My cousin and uncle had come over, we ordered pizza and watched movies. As it got late, my mom went to bed, and my cousin and uncle left, and I settled into bed as well. I woke up abruptly to my mom standing over me, eyes wide, hunched over, as if though she were examining me. There was fear in her eyes. I was honestly afraid at first, thinking that she was going to hurt me. "What?" I asked in a confused tone. My mom's eyes softened like she calmed down a bit when she heard my voice. "Are you okay?" she asked. I replied, "I'm fine. Are you okay?" She looked out of my door and down the long hallway to her bedroom before whispering, "Something was in your room." "What do you mean?" I asked as I got out of bed. "Something was in my room." I was confused, but I'd never seen my mom afraid before. I'd literally seen her fight 6'3" men to defend me, and she wasn't afraid of anything, but she was afraid of this. "Do you want me to go with you to check it out?" Granted, I wouldn't be much help since I was 18 and half her size. She didn't say anything at first. She just stared down the hall with a haunting expression, until finally she said, "I'm not sleeping there tonight. I just need to go get my phone and I'll stay in the living room." I nodded and stepped in front of her, and we walked down the hall. When we got to her room, the light was off. I flicked it on to reveal nothing. I stepped inside, looked around, and stared at her. "Nothing's here." But that same haunted expression stayed on her face. She wouldn't step inside her room. I picked up her phone and handed it to her. We went to the living room and sat in silence for a while before she said, "It looked like you." I stared at her with a confused expression. "What looked like me?" I questioned. "Whatever was in my room, it looked like you. I thought it was you. I spoke to it, but its eyes were black. I thought it was a sign you were dead. I thought it meant you were gone." She started crying. I said, "At least that explains why you were looking at me like that when I woke up." "But what happened?" This is what she said. She woke up and couldn't really get back to sleep. While she was laying in the silent room, she heard snoring, but it sounded off, like someone was only pretending to snore. I've had awful night terrors since I was born. It sounds lame, but it wasn't really an outlandish thought for me to go sleep with her when I had one. Thinking it was me, she nudged towards the other side of the bed, saying to shut up. The snoring, however, just got louder as she felt faint breath on her neck. Not only that, but there was a weight now reaching across her. She started saying my name, but realized the snoring had stopped and instead was replaced with the mimicking sound of my name. She turned over to her side, only to freeze when she was met face to face with something that looked and sounded exactly like me, but instead had an ear-to-ear smile and pitch-black eyes. It flopped over on her waist like a rag doll, saying my name over and over again, steadily getting closer and closer before it reached her face. She jumped out of bed and ran to the other side of the house to find me in bed, asleep. We both stayed in the living room that night watching TV, and my mom still hasn't seen the thing that looks like me again. However, I will point out that a week after this incident, when my mom had gone to the races with my aunt, I heard the sound of her laugh coming from her bedroom. Oh, shit. Smoke something. I can drink something. H2O. Yeah, that story actually scared me a little bit. It's kind of fun whenever I'm reading it and I get chills as I'm reading. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm doing this right. I guess to me, it's like, I don't know why YouTube doesn't put more efforts into their streaming service, because, like, I know you can see, like, whenever, you know, your favorite YouTube channels are, like, streaming or whatever, but they have no form of organization. Like, it's either gaming and a specific game, or that's it, you know. But, like, YouTube is comprised of so much more than just, like, gaming shit, you know what I mean? And also, when it comes to gaming, like, where do I click? Like, if I go to my YouTube home, like, what button do I click on? Like, what button do I even click on to, like, see where live streams are even happening? You know what I mean? Because if you've been on Twitch, you know that it's kind of like, organized, I suppose, you know? And it seems as if though YouTube has, like, next to no organization, which to me is just so idiotic, because it's like, I don't know. The constant decisions on that in Silicon Valley there, it's just, el stupido, you know what I mean? Oh, Notoriu, been following since 20k. That's a while ago. Pusa Studio says we fully live streaming show content on our channel, and there is just enough tools for live streaming channels that are not gaming. Is there a way to, like, categorize your channel, or where do you go to get discovered? Like, where's the discovery aspect of a live stream? Like, how is anybody other than my subscribers supposed to find my live stream? Not, maybe that's not what they planned. Maybe they just want your subs to see it, but I mean, is anybody here in this chat right now, like, not a subscriber and they just stumbled across me reading stories? Like, I don't know. It's weird. Alright, so this is the last story of the day here. If you guys want to start thinking of funny things I could say at the end of the stream, so you know that you can look back and tell your grandkids I was at that stream. No pants? What the hell? You just found a turtle? That's cool. What kind of turtle? You're from Australia. Can you try an Aussie accent? Good eye, mate. Aussie here. Aussie here. I really can't do an Aussie accent. Crikey. I couldn't believe what I saw. Sar. Or is it sar or saw? Saw. Sar. No, not worth it. Ban the pants. Hashtag ban the pants. Pants should be banned from our bodies. Free the nipple. Ban the pants. We've all met a boy in our lifetime that you're just immediately attracted to. You know, the ones who give off the bad boy vibe, who are only sweet to you. That's every girl's dream. We read books about those kinds of boys, even movies are filled with them. But I'm here to say I met mine, and boy, I wish I never did. To start off, when I met him, I was 17, about to turn 18, while he was 31. What the fuck? I don't think a 31-year-old can be a bad boy to that demographic. Is just technically a bad human, or a bad full-ass grown fella. We all met a boy. We all met a boy. We all met one of those bad boy 31-year-olds with their leather jackets and cool muscle cars, glasses, slick back hair, no responsibilities, no bills to pay. Fuck yeah, dude. Free the pants. Free them pants. To start off, when I met him, I was 17, about to turn 18, while he was 31. Don't judge me. I was young and oh so very naive. For this story, I'll call him M. As every love story goes, it starts out wonderfully. Late night talks, telling each other our darkest secrets, the butterflies in your stomach, trying to dress to impress, the laughter and long drives, the cuddling, the cute dates and pet names. I felt that I had met someone who truly understood me and all the demons I carried heavily on my shoulders. He seemed to not care, and wanted me for me. That's how the first couple of months with M were. Soon we talked about me moving in, and, well, I did. It started out great, our new relationship was fresh, and we were excited to fall asleep to each other. What? Fall asleep to each other? What the fuck? The no pants party. You're invited to the no pants party. This doesn't make any sense. It all started out great. Our new relationship was fresh, and we were excited to fall asleep to each other. That's weird. It all started out great, our new relationship. It was fresh, and we were excited to fall asleep next to each other. Very soon after I moved in, his true colors began to show. He started getting easily annoyed with me when I wanted to cuddle or simply have a conversation. I shrugged it off, thinking he just had a rough day at work. One night, after we had a very bad argument the night before, we decided let's go out on a date and invite our friends to go bowling with us, so we did. I brought a couple of girlfriends, and M brought his male friends. All was going well, everyone was having fun, when I suddenly couldn't find him, or one of my girlfriends. No big deal. I asked around and found out they left to go get cigarettes. Cool. They come back laughing and making jokes. Made me smile to see them getting along. She was one of my best friends and I wanted her approval on him. Oh, believe me, I did. This fucking moth, dude. There's like a moth flying around. That's what I'm wondering, how this like all panned out. Like, you have 17 to 18-year-old friends with this guy who's 31, and how... Maybe he's got younger friends, so it's just... the whole story feels weird. Feels dirty. Oh, believe me. Wait, fuck, where was I? She was one of my best friends, and I wanted her approval on him. Oh, believe me, I did. She definitely liked him. That night, we all went back to mine and M's to have some drinks. Stumbling around drunk and having fun, I saw her flirting with him hardcore. You could see he was kind of into it. I blew it off, though, thinking my drunk mind was playing tricks on me, like it did every so often. Flash forward to the next day, he seems a bit distant. Doesn't say much to me. M keeps leaving the house without letting me know where he's going. Whatever, I was leaving to see my family soon anyways. Plus, he had work in a couple of hours. I got ready as M did too. We left at the same time. Normally he gave me a kiss goodbye and a have fun, be safe, but not that day. He just gave me a glance without a word and left. Fast forward, I'm at my aunt's with my family drinking with them. I hadn't heard from him at all, which just made me drink more because I was so mad and irritated. I just couldn't understand why he was treating me this way. So I call my best friend, the one who was flirting with him the night before. I'll call her B. She's acting off, saying maybe I shouldn't be with him. In my drunk mind, I needed her support, not this negativity, so I started talking a lot of nonsense about what she did the night before and how it wasn't cool. God, that sounds so weird. Night, Castle. Good night. Stay family friendly. Sorry. Alright. In my drunk mind, I needed her support, not this negativity. So I started kind of talking trash about what she did the night before and how it wasn't cool. Not going to lie, I talked some trash on him too, as he deserved it. I hang up on her after she got mad at me and partied harder, ignoring my phone going off with messages and calls. A couple of hours later, I check, and I guess who... I don't even want to read the story, dude. I don't even know why. I'm just like, I don't even know, man. Alright, let's grind it out. Let's do it. In life, there's some things you don't want to do. And today, we're going to grind it out. Grind, clap emoji, it, clap emoji, out, clap emoji. A couple of hours later, I check, and guess who's been blowing me up? M. I call back, excited to get an apology, but was met by him being angry because B had him on the phone when I called and combined our phone calls. He heard everything I said, and he was done with me. Anger. That's all I felt. What the fuck? Oh, Pusa, no worries. I just DM me the terms or whatever they're saying happens on the 21st, because I'm in so many different like creator chats where like something gets blown out of proportion, and just not in the mood to be in a bad mood because of something silly like that. So I presume it's probably just getting blown out of proportion or misinterpreted for what YouTube's talking about something else or something. A couple of hours later, fuck, dude. God damn it. Anger. That's all I felt. So M and I could call her and talk to... Wait, what the fuck? Oh, you did DM me on Twitter. Thank you. I don't even know where to start. A couple of hours later, I check, and guess who's been blowing me up? M. I call back, excited to get an apology, but was met by him being angry because B had him on the phone when I called and combined our calls. He heard everything I said, and he was done with me. Anger. That's all I felt. So M could call her and talk to her, but ignore me? His girlfriend? Whatever. I hung up and texted him saying I'd pack my bags and be gone the next day, and that's exactly what I did. B was there when I was packing. The smug look on her face said it all. She about lost all her pretty hair. I wanted to beat her. I didn't. I collected everything and left. A week goes by, I get onto Facebook and see they're official. How cute. Blocked. That's how it stayed too for over a year. I moved again, moved on, got a good job, a boyfriend, and everything was looking up. I really wish I could say that's the end, but I'm kinda stupid from time to time. M managed to get a hold of me with a sob story about how she cheated on him. He wanted me back, he missed me, that he wasn't planning on leaving me, that he was expecting me to come home and we talk. But I left so fast, and one thing led to another with B. You'd think, oh, she's not that dumb. Well, sad to say, I left everything I had to go be with him again. After we talked for months, God, I don't know why. I don't know why this story. I don't know why. Just the way it's written is really funny to me. Like, anger. That's all I felt. So M could call her and talk to her, but ignore me, his girlfriend? I don't know. I want a small child to narrate this story. I think that'd be funny. After we talked for months, he got in my head and made me think I was miserable with my new boyfriend and I could have a better job if I came back. And it worked. He started out so sweet and started earning my trust back. I believed he was the one and everything was different now. Once again, I should have seen the red flags. Not even... You're invested in knowing. I know. It'd be funny if it started out as like a little girl's voice and then it like progressively like transitioned to my voice. That'd be kind of funny. Not even a week of me being back, he started with a cold shoulder again. Getting irritated with me over small things. Made everything a big deal. Everything was my fault. I was a terrible person, treating him like dirt. I was the reason he was a jerk to me. He played with my emotions and head, made me think I wasn't beautiful, that he was the best I'd ever get, because he was a man and not a boy like my exes. Something he literally said, by the way. The argument, oh my. The arguments are the reasons why I still have so much built-up anger. He'd start something with me and would poke until I exploded. He'd start yelling at me, calling me names, saying awful things. Then it would turn into a screaming match. I'd get so overwhelmed and angry I'd burst into tears, and that's when he'd stop. It was like victory to him. He'd go from wanting a relationship to not knowing what he wanted to just wanting to be friends with benefits. It was a never-ending circle. I genuinely think I lost my mind during all of this. It was a course of 6 months. By the last 2, I was done with him. I was tired emotionally. He still was a jerk, though. I started going out every night, working as much as possible to get away. I'd come home in the early morning and I'd be told I was out messing with another man. That's my friends, that my friends only hung out with me to get one thing. Shows why he was keeping me around. I couldn't touch his phone to move it out of the way without him accusing me of trying to get into it, which I never did. I'm not that type of chick. But his accusations and sketchiness with his phones came to one conclusion, and I was right. He was seeing someone else, and was for a while. Yet, I was getting mind-fucked. Yet, he was twisting my mind for months. My heart played with for months. The entire time, he was the one going off and messing around. I hated myself because of him. I have a lot of anger because of him and many trust issues. Now I have my own place, and he's blocked for good. Never again will I allow myself or my mind to be played with that, or let my body be used. Please, don't ever let someone hate yourself. Wait, what? Please, don't ever let someone hate you, because they are the ugly person on the inside. Oh boy, okay. I mean, that's like... I kind of got the vibe from that story right from the beginning that it wasn't really like a scary story, that it was just like an asshole boyfriend, which I don't know what you expected from like a 31-year-old when you're 17. I don't know if I should keep... do you guys think I should keep that story, or if... I don't know. I mean, I know some people enjoy like sort of just hearing drama. Drama Alert Nation, let's get right into the stories. Don't let anyone hate yourself. That's what it says. Please don't let someone hate yourself because they are the ugly person on the inside. Yeah, it was just, a little bit of grammar that I had to. It was funny, though, because I was kind of criticizing it, and then it, like, not this, obviously, whoever wrote this, thank you for writing your story and getting it out there, and hopefully everyone is kind to that person, obviously, but at the same time, like, I kind of got a vibe right from the beginning that nothing bad was going to happen, and I kind of felt regretful, like I'm criticizing the story because I was expecting something terrible to happen, and then when nothing terrible actually happened other than the person just wasted their time, I felt as if though my time was wasted also. Right, guys? JK. Anyways, let's do this outro. And you guys can tell me exactly what you want to hear. Wolves fan number 1. Want to hear my story? I don't have it read on my phone at the moment, so I could tell it in chat. Probably not. I mean, if it's a long story, probably not worth typing out in chat. You can just put it on the subreddit, reddit.com/r/letsreadofficial. Cancel culture on a small scale. Yeah. Let's get this story canceled. You can't, dude. That's one of my favorite things about the new Chappelle stand-up is that like he talks about cancel culture, which he doesn't directly call it that, but he calls out the audience pretty quick on their sort of mob-like mentality, where people jump on people for some bullshit that they've done in their past, and or if they ever will do things in their past. And people go to like incredible lengths to dig up dirt on people so they can send it to the advertisers and pressure them into pressuring whatever company to cancel somebody. It's just, I'm so fucking sick of that shit, man. So fucking sick of that shit. Get a life. Get a life. Get an actual life. Alright guys, what should we say? Dean, you wanted to leave freaked out. Well, we even keeled it. No pants, no shoes, we may as well be nudists. Kinda. I'm kinda feeling it. Pack mentality. Yeah, the group mentality. I hate it. I hate herd shit. I hate like just reading the headlines and building your opinion on headlines. That shit pisses me off because it's just pop culture. I hate people getting pulled up into drama that's honestly just pop culture. It's just like, do some research. Just look into it yourself before you like, off with a head. Off with a head. Burn the witch. Burn the witch. Everybody else said burn the witch, so she must be a witch. Oh, you didn't mean that as an outro. You're just saying it. Yeah, Chappelle is the GOAT, and I think it's nice because he's, I mean, if you think about it, like stand-up comedians are like the last bastion of like they are the ones that are external from the PC culture, corporate media bullshit, which is similar to people here on YouTube, you know, to a certain extent. Maybe me a little bit on streams, but not so much in my stories because my stories are more just like structured around whatever you guys are putting out there and stuff like that. So, which is probably the most beneficial for my channel in the long run. But, you know, stand-up comedians are nice because they get to touch on things that would otherwise, you know, people say, you can't say that. You can't say that. Those are things that you can't say. Even though you just said it and physically the words came out of your mouth, you can't say that. But that's the point. That's the point of the joke, is that you say it. Is that you make light of the morbid reality that we exist in. That's what comedy is you take something that's everyone may or may not want to say and you formulate it into words in such a fashion that it sort of tactfully touches upon controversial topics, and it's funny. Run into walls with the twos. Thank you for run into walls. He is ranting. I'm a ranter. Let's rant. So many dad rants. Dad is up on his soapbox. He's lost his freaking mind. He's gone insane. You know what sucks, honestly, is that like I watch a lot of Overwatch streamers, and like none of them like really rant ever. Like none of them really ever complain. I mean, maybe it's annoying to complain all the time or whatever, but none of them like just have like thoughts, you know what I mean? None of, like, very seldom, like, when I watch streamers, I never, like, why do people like Ninja? Why do people like half of the streamers that exist that play, like, video games? Because they never really say anything. They don't have, like, independent thought or anything that makes, like, you think for a little bit. I'm not saying that what I'm doing is that, but I like to talk about things, and it's fun. And it's a BS, and I just don't understand, like, streamers, I don't know if they just exist within a constant safe space of thought and ideas that they don't want to touch upon, or if they literally are just that boring. Like, they're just so boring that the only thing they know how to be good at is just clicking heads in a video game. Like, that is not exciting at all. That is not exciting. That's why I like characters like. That's why it's fun, like watching characters like Ice Poseidon, or I don't know if you guys ever seen him, or just random other like IRL streamers, because it's just like they're interesting. Like they don't play it safe. They might be idiots too. Let's rant with no pants. There it is. That's what I'm gonna be saying. Thank you, Melissa, for the 2. Let's get right into the rant. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r Let's Read Official, and give and receive feedback from the community, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And join my Discord to interact with me and other listeners directly. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations for just $1 a month on Patreon, and maybe even pick up some Let's Read merch on Spreadshirt. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all these stories in long compilation. Oh, dude, I've been saying the word compilation. Dude, I think you can say compilation. I think that is a decent pronunciation, but people have been pissed at me lately for saying compilation when it's compilation. Compilation, I guess. Which, potato, potato, whatever, but I'm going to say compilation now because everyone's been triggered. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all these stories in long compilation form and save huge on data, located on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Links in the bio. Thanks so much, friends, and remember, let's rant with no pants. Compilation. I did it. I said the word right. Now you can't be mad at me. Fortnite love. What is good, homie? What is good? Potato, tomato. Right, guys? Jensen gets triggered when he eats too much cheese and can't poop. Dude, it sucks. It sucks. Why is cheese got to be so yummy? Well, guys, I'm proud of you too. I'm proud of this chat. I'm proud of you guys sticking through. I'm proud of you guys not getting me canceled. Thank you. We need to cancel culture. Cancel it. If there's anybody you wanted to cancel tonight, cancel the canceling. All right, cancel that. But yeah, this video will be out tomorrow, or actually today if you're on the East Coast, or beyond. The East Coast or beyond. If you're out in the ocean, somewhere with the sharks, if you're riding a shark right now, this video is coming out today at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you're welcome. You're welcome for grinding this out. We ground, we groaned, we grooned the story into a pulp. But yeah, stay tuned, and if you guys are Patreons, this will be on early access here soon once I edit that. Yeah, and then I'm trying to do more streams. There's just days where I just get in like a bad cycle, especially like Sundays. I'm just like, I had a friend visiting town, so I was like hanging out with them, and was unable to record on Sunday or stream as well, and all that kind of stuff. But canceling subscriber horror stories. Oh God, no, and I feel bad. I'm not trying to talk trash on your stories you send in, because you guys are great. I mean, you keep me alive literally with your content. So, but I'm definitely down for reading a relationship story, but something like actually scary has to happen in it. Otherwise, I'm not just gonna tell everyone how your boyfriend was a meanie pants, Also, don't ever date anyone that's... never mind. I'll let you figure that out with your life. How does one become a Patreon? Yeah, so just patreon.com/Let's Read, I believe, and just $1 a month for all that yummy audio, MP3s. You can download, put on your Zune. You can put it right on your Microsoft Zune. But yeah. Thank you, Gothic Rose, for linking that. Much love, guys. I'm giving you 2 peace signs, like, so you know I'm serious. That I'm heading out. Be sure to join the Discord and stuff. Don't date anyone that's related to you. That's also good advice. Yeah, join the Discord, and because we be popping off, dog. You know what I'm saying? Shit. All right. See ya. See you later. Does it work for 3DS? That's pretty funny.